Welcome to Gen X Adulting. And today we have Julie Golden, who is the founder and host of the Big D Dating Show. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're thrilled to have you. So, the first question we always ask our guests is, what year were you born?
1969.
So, you are Gen X.
I am Gen X, baby. And I'm
And where
cringing
were
at
you?
how I just said that, by the way. So I
No,
already have
no,
I have the first thing I want you to lose. No, it's fine.
there's no cringing in Gen X. We own it all.
That's true. Failure is funny to us.
Yes, exactly. So, where were you born?
I was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, so Midwest.
Yeah.
And are your parents from there?
Yes. I had to just do a quick, because of course, as a Gen X gal, I have two sets of parents. All of them from the Midwest. Yes.
Okay. So your mom and dad, do you know how they met?
I do. My dad was a jazz pianist. He played at the Jewish country club known as Nippersink, and my mom, it was like Dirty Dancing. My mom was there, and they fell in love. I mean, it didn't stick, so I don't know what they did, but they had me.
That's
Um,
awesome. So
That's cool.
so he played the piano.
yeah, he actually played the Playboy Mansion in Chicago. He toured, or
Mm,
I guess he didn't tour with Phil Stiller. I've been telling that story. I was wrong, but he played for her. So he was a jazz pianist, and then my mother's father, who was a lawyer at the time, informed him that he would no longer be a jazz pianist. He would be a lawyer and he would come
Oh,
work for him.
mm.
So,
so, was he always musically inclined, like, through his childhood and college and everything?
yeah, he's where I get all of my creative compulsions. My mom would disagree, which is always funny to me, but yeah, my dad raised me on Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, Looney Tunes. He's a hilarious former actor, jazz pianist. So that's definitely where I get all that stuff from. And my mom, well, that's going to be a much larger story, but she was a big deal in publishing. It's so impressive. I mean, the biggest badass woman, love her, but she thought she was funny. I'm like, no, mom, they were paid to laugh at your jokes. That's different. Like, if you're the boss, you have no idea if you're funny. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was she a writer? Was she involved as an
no,
author?
she actually she back in the day, I'm trying to do the math. I guess they split up when I was like 2, so that would be, I guess, 1972, right? That's
Yeah.
when probably most people were like, "Hey, let's get out of here." I don't know. She was a stay-at-home mom at the time, which is a very strange concept to me, and that is no shade to stay-at-home moms. That's just, if you knew my mom, that's crazy.
Right.
I don't think that was ever gonna be her path, but, she had not gone to college. She used to be embarrassed of that. I think it's one of the coolest parts of her story. Um, they split up, and this was back in the Don Draper divorce days, where there was no shared, I mean, there was shared custody, whatever. It was like, I went with her, and I saw him
Yeah.
Right.
Wild West.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so essentially, I mean, not he was a great dad. I'm not saying he was negligent on his duties, but she really was a single mom and she had to make a living. So she got a job as a secretary. I can't remember the name of the place, but she worked her way up through the kind of the ad selling space of publishing.
Mhm.
And without a college degree behind her, she ended up becoming the group publisher of Crane's Communications, like just ran
Wow.
ran the whole thing. So
Wow.
Would
Very cool.
would that have
yeah.
been, like, so through the '70s, she was building her career, and then in the '80s kind of took that over, basically?
Yeah, she was the shit. She would not like that
So
I'm
she was
swearing.
like
Yeah.
that quintessential. Oh, that's okay. We swear. Um, she was like the quintessential, like, '80s working woman, working mom, can do it all,
Yes. I
everything. So
yeah.
so that was your example with your mom, and then your dad, you said, gave up his, arts, his love for the arts and became a lawyer?
Yeah, that was definitely back in the day when you had to grow up early and, if you had a kid, you became a responsible adult, so
Yeah.
I don't know if he had already gone to law school, but my mother's father was a successful lawyer at the time and said, "You're gonna come work for me, kid." Um
Did he keep working for his father-in-law after they got divorced?
No, because fun story, and yes, I almost had a development deal for this. My grandfather, I don't know if he was embezzling money from clients, but the law thing didn't work out for him. I think my dad was involved with defending him at one point. He was disbarred for some kind of shady dealings and became a traveling salesman, my grandfather. Um, so no. And
Okay,
then I can
okay.
bury the lead or I can get right into the juiciest part of this. But it's so interesting to me because it's like the arc of feminism, like my mom. And anyway, my grandmother, my nanny, was totally like a fabulous stay-at-home Jewish mom in the suburbs in Skokie of Chicago. I remember there was just like Tab. Do you remember Tab?
Oh, yeah.
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 I mean, I can't
I
believe I'm
can
saying, do you remember Tab on a Gen X
No,
podcast?
I
Yeah.
can taste it. I
It's
can taste
horrible.
Tab as you said it, but
Yeah.
back then I loved it.
Did you? I
I
didn't get
did.
into the diet drinks till like now
No,
I'm
I couldn't
addicted.
stand it.
I loved
Yeah.
it, and then they came out with one that was, like, with lemon,
Yeah.
and I love
Yeah.
that one
Just
too.
rat poison in a can. It
Yes.
was great.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, yes.
pretty much.
Did she
Yeah.
work for Tab? Your
No,
grandmother?
sorry. I just had a
Oh, she
flashback to
drank
hanging
it.
out at the pool
Oh,
and there was
okay,
always Tab there. No,
okay,
uh, in addition to my grandfather not being great with clients' money and all that stuff, he had started to have, I'm just laughing because I'm like, wow, I'm just telling the whole family story. He had an affair with my uncle's friend, and
okay,
left my grandmother for her. I don't know how old she was at the time. I don't know
okay.
if she was, but she was young. She was very young. But here's what
Right,
I'm going to say:
right.
with him to the end, they were soulmates. So there's something there. But
Wow.
the
So
point of the,
she
yeah,
stayed with him?
I mean the
Oh,
mistress
wow.
became the wife. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Sorry,
So then
sorry.
your grandma was a stay-at-home mom. Did she end up going to work, or was did he support her
No,
still?
that's the fun twist that got Hollywood all excited at one point. I'll come back to it and sell it one day. There was this great place in Skokie called Myron and Phil's. It was a red leather booth restaurant, just boozy, the, broads, the cocktail waitresses. And I guess she was there one night crying over her martini to a friend. Oh, sorry, I forgot this part. She tried to get work, but the government was garnishing her wages because of my grandfather's crimes. So
Uh,
she literally
Mm,
could not make money. She could not make an honest living.
wow.
wow.
And so she's crying over her martini, and this guy next to her hears it and says, "Hey, are you good at math?" And anyway, his name was Irv. I thought he was my Uncle Irv. That was his crime name. He was a bookie for the mob, and he hired her to be a bag lady. And they fell in love, and she worked for him forever, and they were together till she died. So yeah,
That's
That's awesome.
amazing.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
That
cool.
that
and
is that's actually that's very badass, actually, I think.
it's a history of badass women that like did
Yeah,
what they
yeah.
had
Yes.
to do to get done. You
Yeah.
know.
No, that's awesome. So and this was all everyone stayed in that Chicago area, your whole family?
Yeah, my mom, my biological father, and I were born in the city. And then then we moved out to Mount Carroll, Illinois. There was this big movement back then of like city people moving out to the country, like to Little Town, USA.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's where they split up. And then my mom and I moved back to the city. And then she met my now stepfather. Well, she squeezed another marriage in there with another guy, but whatever.
Yeah.
He was one and done.
I
Herschel.
My mom did the same thing. Are you saying your mom was married 3 times?
Correct.
So was mine.
Yep. They liked to
And
get married back then. Yeah.
they did.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
think they thought they had to, right?
Right.
It wasn't as easy. I know with my mom, with my second stepdad, and I don't know if you ever refer he used to laugh because 'cause I'd be like, "Well, that was with my second stepdad, and then there was my third stepdad."
That's
But,
hilarious.
I still laugh.
yeah, with
No, it's just pure entertainment.
I know. But I remember my dad had said to my mom because they were living together, and he said, "Well, I don't want her there if you're not married." And so they got married because my dad had said you can't live together, and they shouldn't have gotten married. They should have just dated for a while and lived together. But I
Right.
think back then women thought, well, we have to get married to these people.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's still part of our psyche until you get divorced and start a dating show
Yeah.
called The
Yeah.
Big D. But yes,
Yeah.
You
But
uh,
know
for the women before us though, I think it was
oh,
just
for
automatic,
sure. For sure.
you know.
I
I
So
think
mean,
you've got a story there. It just probably has to cycle back when Hollywood's producing stories about in Chicago again, right? They
Right.
they don't seem to be doing it at the moment, but that stuff will come back.
I think you're
We had a
right.
strike.
Yeah, thank you. I've always held on to it. It got so far, it was one of those like, my ship's coming in, and then it just broke my heart. And I'm like, this will be
Yeah.
later. It's not going anywhere.
I'm sure it's meant to be.
Um,
So why do you know why your parents got divorced?
uh, I was so young. I mean, knowing them now, they were never going to be together. Like, I think she was such a larger than life, fiercely independent woman that was going to take over a portion of the world. I just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she was probably, if I had to guess, she was probably restless. I don't know that she was articulating that at the time, but they
Yeah.
definitely fought a lot. I remember hearing them screaming at each other. It was not good. And
Now, did you have siblings?
nope, just me.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then did your dad was he still a lawyer after they got divorced? Did he continue down or did he go back to the arts?
No, he did continue lawyering, and actually he stayed in Mount Carroll, Illinois, this wonderful little town, a little college town, when we moved back to the city, and that's where he met my now stepmom, who's amazing, Patty, and she was clerking, I think, at the time, but she was another lawyer, so it was lawyers in
Okay.
love, yeah. But
Okay.
he's still, just to be clear, he's never stopped playing piano, and he gigs
That's
whenever
good.
he can. He has it's the happiest you'll ever see that man is on the keys.
That's awesome.
That is
Yeah.
cool.
Now from the other marriages, were there other children?
No, the unlike you, the second husband for my mom, well, yes and no. Sorry. My mom, Herschel, it was like, I don't know, she claims that he was really mean to me. I don't remember that, but there's no stepfather 1 and 2. Like when Michael, my stepfather, entered the picture, I was 7, and it's been him. Like he's still,
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
I he's my dad, but my dad's my dad. You know what I mean? I don't mean I'm
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
that's great.
and then my stepmom and my biological father did have 2 boys later. I was in high school. Um,
Mhm.
and the weird thing is, they were babies when I was in high school, and now they're in their 30s, and we are so close and we are so similar, which is so interesting to me. I mean,
That's
talk about
cool.
nature, nurture. Like,
Yeah. That's awesome because you
yeah,
weren't raised in the same home, but
no,
did you see them, like, every other weekend or no, you would have been
it wasn't
by
even
high
that.
school,
She's been doing
Yeah,
her thing.
you've been doing your thing, so
yeah.
that's awesome you guys are close.
I can't even explain. I mean, my dad and I and my one of my brothers, Josh, it's like triplets when we're together. The same sense of humor, everything.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and Zach's amazing too, but I feel he's more like Patty. It's just interesting. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah, I
Yeah.
very,
mean, to have that wide of a age gap too and not grow up in the same house and be like that, it's very cool.
yeah, I can't even explain it because I also moved out to Los Angeles like pretty much as soon as I got out of college. So
Mm.
I I don't know. Apparently, according to my brother Josh, who now lives out here, I'm the reason he came out to California. I'm like, do not put that on me. I have no idea what you were witnessing, but I was constantly having a nervous breakdown in my 20s working in Hollywood. So I don't, it looked very glamorous to them, but
Yeah, of course, of course. Now, would you say your, childhood was a typical Gen X childhood? Did you have some of those, how we all say we were feral and no
yes.
one was watching
Oh,
us and we
yes.
were unsupervised? Like, what
All
what would
that.
your perspective be on that for yourself?
Well, it's so funny when you were like, tell us some memories. Like by you saying that, I just remembered when we moved back to the city. So now we're in Chicago. Like this is crazy to me in hindsight, right? We're in the city. Like, were there less serial killers then? I don't understand. How am I alive, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
No, I think that they didn't know. It was ignorance is
Right,
bliss.
right. Which in a way.
Yeah,
But but if I'm doing this right, I was in second or third grade, and all the kids on the block, we all knew each other, and we would just, the classic, like out till the sun came down. I remember there was a boy older than us who, in hindsight, should not have been hanging out with us, and he had like a kissing contest. I mean, it's crazy.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Now you think about the things we did and what we were exposed to. We would never, ever, ever let our children do
Never.
that, raising them.
No. There was an
Did you hang
intersection near
out
us. Sorry, go on.
well, no, did you hang out on, like, a stoop anywhere somebody's stairs, like a random set of stairs,
Well, we were
as a
in the
kid?
city as I have we moved 15 times growing up too, so that's another part of my
Okay.
thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, but so in the city, we were in apartment buildings, so there weren't really stoops as I recall. It was just running around the streets
Yeah, yeah.
um and I was just gonna say there was this intersection near us that was insane. One of those like 10 different like we would cross that. I think I almost died once. I do remember that. Like, oh, kids shouldn't be crossing
I
Yeah,
here.
No, no, I think
that's
that,
funny.
to write it, in some ways, Gen X became kinda helicopter parents to g like,
Yes.
our pendulum went this way because I feel like Gen X tried to give our children the childhood that we had wanted as far as not that all of our childhoods were horrible, but there are certain things we probably all wanted, and we tried to make sure we gave that to our kids, and as a result, some of our kids, some have then I think issues in other areas
Oh,
because
yeah,
of
they're
that,
totally inept. They have no life skills. I have a whole set about it,
Right.
believe me. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but we are.
You
We're
know,
compensating and overcorrecting for what which
yeah,
was really parental neglect, but they
yeah,
didn't know any better.
Yeah.
they didn't.
And we survived, you
Yeah.
Yeah,
know?
we did, but I think that all of us, to some degree, could say we have some sort of trauma, whatever it is that we could unpack, and I think it's because of he's still working
Yeah.
on that, but, and now we have Gen Z, and Gen Z's awesome, I love Gen Z, but there are certain things where you're like, "I was doing that when I was 9, how do you not know how to do that at 22? I don't
Yeah.
understand," but that's because of us
Well,
and
I
how
have
we
a new
raised them.
theory. I because it's so funny. Here's my new theory. We did too good a job. We should pat ourselves on the back because my son, who's 15, no interest in getting his driver's license, like doesn't need to leave the house. Like, you couldn't keep us inside when we were kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But to a degree, I'm like, he doesn't hate me. He
Yeah.
wants
yes.
to be near me, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a great trade-off.
Yeah.
It's true, we
Yeah.
have, kids in their 20s, and then we have a 15-year-old, and they all wanna hang out with us, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not
So,
like the cool parents are irresponsible. It's just like not this like black and white, I'm the because I said so, right? The generation of, and
right.
Yeah, yeah.
kids should
We
be
listen.
seen but not heard. Like,
Yeah,
that's a lot. You're not
yeah.
supposed to be heard as a kid.
Yeah.
No, we've given them a space to express themselves, and we listen, and, it's so cool. I love that you brought that up because I will take that trade-off any day.
Yes.
I'll
Same.
teach them life skills if what I created was an authentic relationship with my child. It's a
Thousand
great
percent.
trade-off.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%. So why did you guys move 15 times?
Oh, I can I circle back a little bit to something Brian said and then move back to the
Yeah,
15?
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
Brian,
Yeah.
you're saying we survived, but I think what's interesting about that is I want to compare therapy bills later in life with how much therapy our kids have and how much therapy we've had. But anyway, we'll
Yeah.
see.
It's a good point.
But we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 15 times. This is interesting. This is another time. And okay, so well, first of all, there's a bigger psychological thing I've realized now is that my parents, rather than a hobby or any existential whatever or any therapy or any like, they would just remodel houses and move and move and move. Like there's a
Mm,
psychological thing. But financially and economically, that was back in the day when you could just be a regular person who had a job, you got raises, you could buy a house, you could then buy
yeah.
a nicer house, like you could keep improving your life, and that's over
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they did that.
Yeah.
We started off in a rental apartment, and I remember they bought the first little teeny fixer, and they were they built the deck. They knew how to do everything too.
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
know how to do anything. So they kept doing that, and then I think they just got addicted to avoiding staring into their souls, and just looking at
Well, there's
wallpaper instead.
financial incentive there too. You can parlay, and keep making money.
And
So
they did. I
it's a
don't
great
wanna
gig.
you are absolutely
Yeah.
correct. They were great with money. I didn't get that part from them, but they were great with money. Money was like rabbits for them. They could just yeah.
Yeah.
They were ahead of their time flipping.
They really were. That's so funny. I
Yeah.
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
even think of that. Now it
Yeah,
wouldn't be
no, they're
considered anything.
yeah, no, but I mean and I get what you're saying, it was probably a distraction for them,
Yes.
like you said,
Yes.
but it was also they were way ahead of because now that then flipping, it's gone crazy with that's a whole thing, so but they were way
Yes.
ahead.
But we moved
So,
three times in a 3-block radius once. That was weird.
Yeah.
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 It so
Did you have to change schools then much, or were you able to at least go to the same school?
Yeah, this is so fun. I feel like this is your I love what you've created, a safe place for the kids today. No, but I mean, this was back when public school was well, okay, wait. There was also I feel like this is politically incorrect to say, but it was a thing that happened, and I don't know what to call it. But when so we started off in the city, and the Chicago public school system collapsed as it did in so many city public school systems. So there was
Mhm.
this thing called white flight, which I mean, I think it's a historical term, but basically everybody moved out to
White people
this.
moved to the suburbs. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Historically, yeah. Yep.
So that's what we did. So
Yep.
the schools were excellent out there. So to answer your question, you went to your local school. There was no, you
Yeah.
guys are in Florida, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if you've got the whole magnet points, it's like all this craziness of magnets and charters and or is your local school
We
good?
we have public schools great where we
Oh,
are, and, so what it is we have great public schools, and then a lot the private schools are excellent, and then our public schools have, it's kind of maybe like charter, I'm not sure, but they have programs, like, one of them has a pre-med program, one of them
yeah.
has an entrepreneurship program, and you can if you're not zoned, you can apply to be in a lottery, and
Yes.
if you're picked, your
Charters.
son
Yes.
like, let's say it's 5 miles across town or 10 miles across town, you get picked, your kid can go there. So if
Yes.
you're zoned, you're automatically get to go to your high school, let's say, but you
Yes.
can try to go to others. Is that kinda what you mean?
Yeah, and I don't know if you have the magnet system. We have a version of that too, where you have to like game the
I don't know.
system
I don't
while your baby's in utero. You have to like apply to, the point is it's so broken that we're trying to create these ways to
Yeah.
ensure uh, a school path, but my kid hasn't been to the same school with his friends the whole time. But to answer your question, Brian, yeah,
Yeah.
like I moved, but I still went to the same elementary school. I still had the same friends. I still went to the same
Yeah.
high school. Like it wasn't that,
so
That's
yeah,
that suburbia kinda smallish town,
yes,
limited number of schools, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
in
there
the
really
cities,
were.
there's if you go to, like, Manhattan, right, there's public school 1 through 99,
Yeah,
and they're in different neighborhoods and all
yeah.
that, and depending on where you live, that's where you go.
yeah.
The suburbs, like where I grew up, we had 2 elementary schools, 1 junior high, and 1 public high school, and 1 private,
Where'd you
and
grow up?
those were your choices. What's that?
Where did you grow up, Brian?
I grew up in a place called Sparta, New Jersey,
Okay,
about 50 miles west of, Manhattan,
got it.
so the
And
northwest corner of New Jersey.
Very rural, like
Yeah.
farmland, very beautiful,
right,
actually. Not what you think of Jersey.
not
Yeah.
like Tony Soprano.
No,
Yeah,
that's
No,
what
we could
everyone
go see
thinks.
Tony. He
Yeah.
was 30 miles east, but
sure.
yeah.
You could visit Tony, but then you get
Yeah,
to go back to your nice farmland little town.
All of
yes,
Tony's guys now own all the McMansions where I grew up.
of
Yeah,
course.
exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
That's Chicago style thing, right? Once you get out, probably Chicago, metro, suburbs.
Yeah, yeah, there was a lot of
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
so at least when that was going on, you didn't have to change schools. You had the consistency of
yeah,
friendships
yeah,
and your schools, but that had to have caused some anxiety right as you would get settled into your bedroom again and into a routine in this home. But you probably never really totally rooted because you knew this is not going to stay. It's not permanent.
That makes sense on paper, and yet I swear to you, I loved when we moved. It was exciting to see where my new room was gonna be. I don't it's weird.
No, that's
And
great.
that is cool.
I'm gonna just throw out a crazy psychological theory here. It's not crazy. I think this is correct. I remember it being very happy and exciting when we moved because they were happy because they
Yeah,
liked
yeah,
the project. So the smell of, wallpaper or paint, like things were good.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It was kind of tied
Yes.
to you knew that that means everything's okay.
Yes. Oddly,
They were
moving.
good, so you guys were all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never
Yeah.
thought about that till now, but yeah.
Now, have you found as an adult, you fix things up or that you enjoy it when do those scents bring back a feeling of I don't know, contentment or happiness for you? Does it trigger anything good?
Yes and no. I love moving into a new place that's totally empty. It does feel like, I mean, it's a fresh start,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I also feel like a prisoner of this compulsion to look at open houses constantly. And they were always trying to suck me in. They're like, look at this house down the street. I'm like, I'm happy here. Leave me alone, you know?
Yeah.
So that constant need,
That
man.
lingers. That has
Yes.
lingered, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
that's
I've licked
interesting.
it. Yes. I don't
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I don't feel
So
good when I go into an open house. I start to like hyperventilate. I'm like, "No, what are we doing? This is avoidance."
that's interesting.
The
That is
trigger.
really interesting,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So when you were in elementary and did you call it junior high or middle school where you were from?
That's interesting. I feel like it was called middle school. I don't think it was called junior high school. Yeah.
Okay, so through, elementary, middle school, high school, did you play any sports or were you involved with music or arts?
Well, I don't know about you guys. Wait, where'd you grow up, Nicole?
Oregon, Portland.
Okay. So we had elementary school and then a separate middle school. Is that what you guys had? And then
Yeah,
high
I
school?
we
Yeah.
called it junior high. I think you called
Yeah.
it junior high,
Yeah, I called
right?
it. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was separate, yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I did, but I was not an athletic kid, and sadly, my son has followed suit. Yeah, I elementary school, I think I was already like kind of a theater kid, wanting to be in plays. Junior high school, all my friends dumped me, and I became unpopular. So I was just trying to
Mm.
survive the 3 years there.
Middle middle school sucks. I think it's
Ugh,
the worst time for people, and I think it's the worst time to be a parent because
yes.
I know I went through hell and my kids did. I still have PTSD from what my kids went through, and there are
Oh,
kids who were mean to my kids, and I could be 80 and see them in the grocery store, and I'll still curse them.
I'm
Our
with
kids have
you.
gotten past it.
I will never no, my kids maybe have gone I won't.
I'm absolutely with you. I know it's unhealthy. I am absolutely with
I'm
you. I
here.
despise these children. I don't see them
Yes,
as children. I see them as future dictators. I know exactly
yes,
who they're going to be. I don't buy any evolution for them because I remember them. Because
absolutely. 100%.
parenting is reparenting.
Yes. No, I know, it's the worst thing is they then do it with their kid. It's just
Yeah.
the bullies having more
Yeah.
bullies and more bullies. So, listen, when you said that about how your friends flipped and then you were just trying to get through, I hear
Yeah.
you. It's the worst.
It's the worst. And my
It is.
son, it's so funny because I totally take pride in being a former nerd. Well, a lot of people say they were a nerd. Like, you weren't a nerd. I know. I can smell nerd on
Yeah.
people. You don't have trauma on you. Um, but it's easier to be popular. So I was hoping my son
Yeah.
would be popular. And the moment I saw it, I'm like, first of all, it makes total sense because he's, you know, I mean, he's amazing. He's like hilarious and weird and loud. I'm like, that was me. That was me. It not
Yeah.
cool. And it was great in elementary school. The kids loved it. But then it's like weird. It's like they want to, we don't do
Yeah.
that here.
Yeah. Well, and then the alpha boys, they all
Ugh.
try to be the alphast of them all. And if you're
Yes.
not an asshole, you're screwed.
Yes.
That's really what it is. So,
Totally.
and you're not raising an asshole. So,
No.
he's gonna, it's the worst thing. But then what we found with our kids is then through high school it gets better.
Yes. He's
And then of
doing,
course in
yes.
college and I'd rather have them be the person they are with depth and all the wonderful things we've raised them to be than be an asshole and be popular in middle school,
Oh,
you
a,
know.
a million percent. As if that's a number. Now you say I'm bad at math. And to go back to the overcorrecting for our childhood, like I remember in middle school, I was obviously depressed. My girlfriends all dumped me. And I remember my mom very clearly. I mean, who knows? It's so long ago. But I feel that I recall her saying, "Well, what did you do?"
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
Right?
yes. Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's a boomer thing. I think that's more
Yes.
common. I think it's more common. It's just like they also have a hard time complimenting us
Yes.
without there being a but
Yes.
yeah, no, I was raised that look at it from the side they're coming from.
Yeah.
What's their outlook? Where ironically, Brian's parents were silent generation and he was raised and Irish Catholic Jersey. He was raised like fuck them.
yeah, pretty much.
He
That
was raised
sounds
like
so
I
nice.
know,
Yeah,
I know, I
yeah,
know, and so
I'm gonna start
we raised
crying. Yeah.
our kids
yeah,
different.
I'm in that mode now, though. I'm in the "fuck them, who cares?
Well,
Let it go."
he gave me permission to
Yeah.
raise my kids like that because I would have
Yes.
done how I was raised, like, "Well, let's see what side
Right.
maybe they're having a hard time," and
Yeah.
he's like, "Fuck that,"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
screw
They're
that kid.
dicks. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're dicks.
yeah,
So, and I think Gen X, we have our kids' backs because we
Yes.
felt our parents didn't have ours.
That yes, yes. In fact, yeah, my son reached a point, which is this dance, right, where he didn't want to tell me anything because he knew I would come in like guns blazing,
Yeah.
you know?
yeah, yeah.
And I'm like,
Yes.
"I promise I won't," because I knew at a certain point you can't, right?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I don't know because let me tell you a quick story. My daughter's
yes.
24 and um she plays on an adult softball team and we thought there was a somebody had written something mean on the roster
Oh
that was
god.
online, but we
Yeah.
come to find out it wasn't. It was like a technical thing that just sometimes goes, but it was no one did anything. I called the city. I called the
I'm
city.
laughing
Yeah.
because I knew. I love it. You're
I did.
ready. You're like
I'm like,
LFG.
yeah, I'm like, who has
Yeah.
access to this app? I want to know.
The
I
poor
love
guy
it.
who picked up
And
the
he's
phone.
like, "No one. No one has access." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well," and then he explained. I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah.
And she's 24, so I don't know if it ever really ends.
No, in
You know,
fact,
that's
my
the thing.
mom, for all of her, "What did you do?" The truth is, years later, she called me up, giddy and excited. I was mortified. She was a big deal executive. And she's like, "You'll
Yeah.
never guess who was just here interviewing." I'm like, "Who?" And then she mentioned a name. I'm not going to mention who was my best friend. It would hurt the most. I'm like, "Oh God." She's like, "I made her cry." I'm like, "Mom, don't tell me that. That's
Oh, no.
horrible. She's
That's
a
awesome.
grown human." She's like, "I'll never forgive her." I'm like, "I
Yes.
just wish she hadn't blamed me back in the day. This doesn't help." But
Right,
That's
right.
awesome.
I
yeah.
almost think they did it because they just wanted to fix it. They wanted it to be
Yes, they
done.
know. They know.
They knew, and they were
Yeah.
mad, but they went about it a different way. So, now what about in high school? You were in theater, I
So,
assume?
yeah, so then high school, I feel like there was something else I was gonna say about my kid in middle school, and I can't remember now. Oh, I was gonna say the overcorrection thing. I don't know if you've done this, but I've gotten so bad with him about protecting him from the pain from these people that I know I've done him a disservice because he does not stomach discomfort well.
Mm,
Whereas our generation, I feel like anything we can put up with. I can compartmentalize anything,
Yeah.
which
yep,
Yep.
yep. No, it's true. It's
mixed
true. They
bag.
feel everything, they express everything, and any little blip, it's a there's no
Y-
grinding through. They don't
No,
grind through.
no.
So, it's acknowledging it and,
Yes.
and so you're right. No, that's true. That's the same with our
Well,
kids.
I'm curious because I think she handles that better than I do. I wonder how you handle that. Are you I'm abrasive, maybe, for lack of a better word, where it's like, "Ah, come on, knock it off, keep going," where she'll
Yeah.
sit and listen. Where do you fall on that spectrum?
Yes, not good, not the good side of the spectrum.
Yeah, yeah.
My ex-husband, his father was really good about being the measured, disciplined one. He's got a really good sense of when to push our son, and he
Mhm.
knows it and I know it. Like I just because of what I went through, I mean, I have royally fucked up and gone the other way. So if he ever doesn't want to go to school, like I'm way too lenient. But the flip
Yeah,
side
yeah,
of
Mm,
that
yeah.
is sometimes I'll feel guilty because I'll hear my ex-husband or an ex-boyfriend's head, my mom in my head, like, "You're being too soft on him." And then all of a sudden I'm like, "You gotta
right.
get out of bed." Like it's like I'm
Yeah,
schizophrenic with him.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like all your anxiety, you're like, "Project."
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. But do better.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get
That's
one over on
awesome.
me. But are you okay?
Yeah, but are you okay? I
Yeah.
love
Yeah,
you. Are
yeah,
you happy?
yeah. I'm sorry. Have I said I'm sorry?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so
That's
funny.
awesome.
It's so true though. It's so true. It's funny, my daughter with my 15-year-old will get like that, like because some days we don't know if he cares if we exist, and other days he loves us because he's 15.
Yep.
But then she'll just be like, Are you happy? Everything okay? Like, what can I do? And he's like, I'm fine, leave me alone. So now there's older siblings that are like
Yeah.
Oh,
overcompensating. So
interesting. Yeah.
this poor kid. But okay, so high school. Were you
So
theater?
high school, we were still in Evanston, is sorry,
Evanston, Illinois?
Evanston, Illinois is it's where John Hughes is from. So 16 Candles,
Oh,
all that
okay.
stuff. That's where I
Okay.
grew up.
All right.
But I was the nerd. Okay. Anyway, high school was less painful, as you said. So I was there freshman, sophomore year. I was on the soccer team. I have no idea why. And my only memory was I scored a goal for the other team. Like I remember that to this day. I was very proud of myself. I didn't understand why nobody was getting in my way and everyone was yelling.
That sounds like something that would happen in a movie.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah. Yeah. If it's,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Now, were you in plays
Oh,
when
wait,
you were
I
in
do
the
have another
theater?
embarrassing thing. I also was in synchronized swimming.
Nice. They had synchronized swimming in Chicago?
In Evanston, yeah.
In
It was one
In
of those,
the
Evanston, in
like,
'80s
Illinois?
too, actually in
In
the
the
'80s,
'80s,
yeah.
that's
yeah,
impressive.
yeah.
Wow.
It was, not cool. Just to be clear, it was not a cool thing to be doing. You could still
So
do
wait, you were a theater kid who did synchronized swimming, is what you're trying to say?
I couldn't get cast.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it actually
You auditioned
oh,
for
yeah, the
different plays?
theater program at Evanston is kind of a really well-known theater program. John Cusack, Jeremy Piven, like, it was a very
Oh, okay, okay.
so, but still, fuck them. Anyway,
Yeah.
and
Were you in
then
school with any of them?
no, they're older. So,
Okay,
but I do have some famous names coming up to hit you soon because my mom moved us then back to the city for my junior and senior year, and
okay.
she said it was to be closer to work, but I almost feel like she could see that I was socially floundering. I mean, it wasn't painful like middle school, but I kind of just felt invisible and lost in this huge
Mhm.
school.
Did you find your people at all?
Not there.
So
I
not
mean, I
there?
found some people, you find someone to hang with, but it wasn't
Yeah,
till we moved into the city and we went to a fancy private school. I guess my mom must have been doing really well at that point.
yeah.
And it was called Francis Parker, and there were two big fancy private schools, Latin and Parker. And Latin was definitely more of it was known as I don't know, Francis Parker was the hippy dippy theater school, and
Mm,
Latin was more like we're on the path
right,
for I don't know.
right.
And so at Parker, Anne H, I don't know if you remember Anne,
Yeah.
she
Yeah,
was in my class, so we were in Fiddler on the Roof
okay.
together, and
Oh, wow. That's
yes,
cool.
yeah, and
So you got parts there.
oh yeah, sorry. Then I was theater kid. Yes, I
Okay.
Yeah, good.
thrived and flourished. And this is interesting. This is going to get back to the overcorrection of our kids at that school, it was cool to be smart and weird and,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
and then I was like, "Oh, it was great," I'm like,
yeah,
this is my place,"
yeah,
for God knows how much a year. Um,
yeah.
so I've always felt bad that I can't afford I mean, private school today compared to then. Well, I don't know what it's like in Florida, but you know what private school here is? Like 55 grand a year.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, we
about
have
right.
some schools like
Yeah.
that. We have
Yeah.
schools like the Catholic schools are less.
Yeah, you the Catholic,
Um,
if you're good with Jesus, 20
yes,
grand.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
right, but the other ones are what you're talking about.
Okay. So
Yeah,
his dad and I can't afford that. And I've
right.
felt as I saw him being unpopular, getting bullied, it was like, I feel so bad I can't put him in a private school where I feel like he would flourish. But
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I can see that because I do think for kids that struggle in that large public school environment,
yeah,
they do thrive in that smaller space, and
yeah,
I feel you because you did. Because I
yeah.
think it sounds to me like you, were on a totally higher level than the suburban public school. Like, what you had inside of you
I mean,
flourished
I'm
once
glad you
you
said it,
got into the
Nicole.
city.
Yes.
It's just, once you got into a city, it was
Yeah.
just more evolved, I think, probably, and there's more going on, and the school itself could cater to,
You
what your interests and talents in a better way, I have a feeling.
there's
No,
no
you're
public
right.
school options like that in where
So,
you're at?
yes, so that's where the whole magnet thing comes in. So I have done a
Okay,
good
good.
job as a mom. I will say I have found the best, least bad version. He does like where he is now. I guess middle school is going to be a shit show no matter where he went.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah,
you have a 15-year-old, so right off of COVID, going into middle school,
yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
were they were just feral animals, like not
yeah,
in a
yeah.
fun way, not in a drink from the hose way.
right, yeah,
So I think they all were struggling in middle school, but it was ironically he loved theater as a kid. And then he went to middle school, and it was a performing arts middle school. I thought, "This is gonna be great," but they were bullies. I'm like, "Oh, no, there are bullies in the performing arts
They're all
program?"
assholes at
oh
that
my
age, yeah.
gosh, yeah, I
Yes!
think it's the age.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
they
just
need
doesn't
to
matter.
push down,
Yeah,
isolate,
yeah,
create stratus of popularity.
yeah,
So,
it's like Lord of the Flies years, I call
totally,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also my son is, a cop of the world. I don't know, he's, like, into justice and gets up in everyone's business, and I was like, "Where did he get this from?" Like, "Oh, shit, that's me. That's me."
And
Anyway.
that doesn't fly in middle school because I think snitch.
No.
You're
Yeah,
snitch,
yeah.
you're snitch, you're snitch. Like, I remember hearing that word, my 15-year-old, I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "No, you can't snitch." It's like it was the biggest thing in middle school.
Yep, he
Yeah.
was a
So,
snitch.
yeah. But
But
now
he
he's in high
also
school.
sorry, go on.
Now I was gonna say, but now he's in high school,
Now he's
right?
in high school,
So
so he's in this, so then you go and it's all the magnet program. So you go to a big school, but at least they figured this part out. You're in a small school within the school. Maybe that's what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So he's in this humanities program, which he's such a history kid. I mean, it blows me away how he just like connects dots. And this whole program is about weaving all the topics together through the lens of history. I'm like, yes.
That's awesome.
So
That's
he's
awesome.
doing well. Yeah.
That's
Oh, and
perfect, that's perfect.
the
And then
other
so for you, you got into the what you called it, liberal arts? Was it a liberal arts or
oh, the high
performing arts?
school?
The high school.
It wasn't
W
known it wasn't technically that, but it was, like, you would just
Okay, and you were
be
there for junior, senior year?
junior, senior year, yeah, like, it looked like Woodstock in the hallway there. It was, hilarious.
Oh, wow.
Um,
And and then during those years, did you kinda know that you wanted to further your education in that in college? Is that what you went to school for?
yes, and if I'm ever acting too much like a producer myself, please stop me, but can I circle back and just talk about one more thing about middle school
Of
and high
course.
school? Okay.
Yeah, we do all that. We do that all the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I know you're gonna relate to this too. In hindsight okay, so my son was diagnosed with ADHD for real, not like I know there are kids being overdiagnosed, I get it,
Yeah,
Right,
but it
right.
yeah.
explained so much of his behavior in middle school, why he didn't stand a chance, you know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah.
just and, anyway, his dad and I didn't agree about how to handle it, and then we did, and things got better, but the point of the story is, I'm realizing that was me in middle school.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
That was me, and
Yes.
they didn't have terms for that, so they put me in a learning disability class with criminals, like,
Oh,
kids I mean, but,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
trouble
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, but,
It's just
that's Gen X, girls were 'cause when they did finally start diagnosing it, it was boys. Like, the Gen
right,
X girls were ignored with ADHD
right,
because I think it's harder to diagnose in girls because girls are so high performing and I think they could mask it easier. It
yeah,
wasn't as ob the boys were hyper, hyper, hyper. The
yeah,
girls, I think it was a little bit different. So, but I can't tell you how many women I've met our age that came to find out they have ADHD.
yeah, I mean, again, I have not diagnosed it, but honestly,
Yeah.
I don't need to, I'm watching my kid, I'm
You
like,
know.
"Can I have some of that
Well,
Vyvanse?"
Yeah.
I've learned ways to curb
Yeah.
it, But and so the other
Yeah.
I'm sure you know this too. So he's gifted, whatever that thing is,
Yeah.
he tested
Yeah.
gifted, but he's like 2E because he's got ADHD and gifted. So again, like where does he fit? And
Right.
we got him the thing and it's fine. But the point is one of the things about his type of brain, again, I don't know about you guys, it's like light bulbs about your childhood is I started doing well junior and senior year because suddenly they were small classes of super advanced topics that I was interested in. Like the
Yes.
mhm.
big general stuff, I was like drool, and
Right.
it's just
Right.
a,
And
yeah,
that continued into
Yeah.
I know for me, that continued
yeah,
into college because
1000%.
I also started picking up that once I became an upperclassman, all of
Yes.
a sudden I was, like, focused, and this is interesting, and then I was able to carry that in through college.
Yeah,
But
I
up until then,
struggled.
I was kinda just like
Yes. Total
yeah.
struggle
Yeah.
academically freshman, sophomore year. Junior started to get interesting. Senior year, all A's.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like,
So is that what like, in that, did you have colleges picked out that where you wanted to go, like, n once all of this was
I
coming
only got
together
into
for
one
you
college because my grades were not great. So I got
from the
into
earlier years in high
yeah.
school?
So
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
they're like, "Where do we put this delinquent?" No, I'm just kidding. There was no record. No, I just yeah, my grades were so spotty. I didn't test well. SAT?
Right.
No, that was not.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think those should just all go away. But so the only school I got into was easy to get into. Now it's really hard to get into, which is so funny to me, but it was University of Wisconsin-Madison and
Okay.
it was amazing. It was a five-star school, but it was also a five-star party school. So it kind of got
Yeah,
Right.
that's a
looked
party place.
yes.
Yeah.
Now it's also a extraordinarily hard school to get into, which is
Yeah,
funny. I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Whew, I got
Madison's
in."
cool. We've been there once.
Yeah.
We liked it.
It was
It's a
amazing.
cool town.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
It's a
great.
crazy town in many ways, right? That's kinda when it blew up when you were there. I think it blew up as a party school and a
Yeah.
cool place
Oh,
to
yeah.
be.
I
Yeah,
had my fun for sure.
I'm
I,
sure.
was arrested twice.
What were you arrested for?
Well, the first time was underage drinking. Of
Mhm.
course, the cops put us in the back of the car and took us back to our dorm. And I was such a brat. I was like, "Don't you have something better, more important to do with your time, coppers?" It's poor people dealing with college assholes. And then the second time was my senior year, and we were throwing the most epic party ever. I've always thrown great parties, which is what the big. I'm not trying to get us to the big D, but it is funny. I've been hosting parties, and I love people pleasing. That's probably a bigger mom issue. Anyway, the cops totally screwed us. They waited outside and they caught an underage drinker coming out of a college party, of course, because it was, I don't know, a
Yeah,
sophomore or a
yeah.
junior. So I had to go to court, and my dad, who was my biological father, had to come as my lawyer.
There,
That's awesome.
there, it paid off.
Yeah.
You had your own lawyer?
Did he get you off?
He
The charges
did.
dropped?
In fact,
Yeah,
I don't
good.
understand. Like, when I think back to that, I'm like, how was I arrested and brought to court? I don't have nothing happened. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I
That's
guess in
awesome.
Madison, they're like, get in line, kid, you know?
So when you first got there, I assume you were in the dorms, right?
I was in the dorms. I was on fraternity row. I rushed, which was weird. I went to the sort, which is not me. I don't know if you can tell, but that's what I did. And I'm
Was
like,
it
I
like
don't,
a theater? Like, did you go to different sororities and
yeah,
then pick which one was it?
Well,
Um,
that's just ruthless, though.
oh, it
Our
is, but
daughter did it. The whole Greek
yeah,
system for boys and girls, but especially
yeah,
girls, was crazy.
yeah. It's
yeah.
it's it's all judges you on. It's just appearance more than
Yes.
anything else.
Yes. And I have to
What?
say, they couldn't fire me. I quit. A few of them wanted
Okay.
me, but I was like, I don't think this is not my people. This is not
So
my,
you
Yeah.
weren't in a sorority at all, or
no.
you were like,
I
no,
was a
this
little
isn't.
sister. Do you remember that thing?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. They still have
That's
it.
the biggest scam ever. Like, really?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you just have a bunch of young girls coming over to your parties? Well done, guys. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah. Our daughter dropped after 2 years. She was like, "This is enough."
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's just too it's you're either in it or you're not.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
hard
think
to
you're right. There's no middle ground.
there's no middle ground. So you
Yeah.
were in the dorms your first year. Did you know your roommate?
I was such a spoiled brat. I didn't want a roommate, so I demanded that my parents give me a single. Um,
Nice.
yeah, and they did. And but here's what I'll say: I gave back to the community. I became the party room. So we would
There
smoke a
you
ton
go.
of weed. I would play Led Zeppelin, and I had a really nice fridge full of snacks. I made sure everybody was well fed. I
There
could
Nice.
you go.
tell the RA
I
hated
don't think
me.
we didn't have that option where we went to school. You couldn't choose to be in a single. You had to have a
You had to have
roommate.
a roommate.
No, but
Where were
so many
you?
people dropped out.
We went to a school called well, now it's called Southern Oregon University, but when we went, it was Southern Oregon State College. I think it was like 6,000
Yeah,
people,
roughly.
small, in
Oh,
Ashland,
okay.
Oregon.
Is that where you guys
So,
met?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, college sweethearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came out there from New Jersey
Yeah.
and went to school, and I was from Portland, so it's
Yeah.
like 4.5 hours south in Oregon, and yeah, we
Have
were
you
we were
been to
friends.
Ashland? Being in LA, I mean, it's not close, but it's closer than Florida.
I have not. Should I?
It's
Yes.
cool.
It's very
Actually,
Yeah.
it's a
cool.
very artsy town. They have a very big they're, well known for their Shakespeare festival.
Yep.
So every summer,
Oh,
there's a
yes.
Shakespeare festival there.
That's right.
It's pretty cool,
It's
actually.
beautiful.
It's an outdoor
It's
theater.
only 20 miles north of the California border
Yeah.
into
All right.
Oregon.
I'll put it
So
on
if
the
you're ever up
list.
that way in Northern
Yeah.
California, it's worth stopping in Ashland. It's
I
beautiful.
love it. I love
But
Northern California. That's where my son and I
same.
both think that we should be living, just so you know.
We love
Yeah.
Northern.
Yeah.
When we go to California, we go to Northern
What do you
California.
Oh,
consider Northern California, though?
okay. Right. Well, I took him on a trip. Oh my God. We did like Russian River, Russian Valley, like that whole area. And then we went
Mhm.
down is it Mendocino coast? No.
Prob Mendocino County, sure. That's
Yeah. Oh my God. It was like Pegasus was gonna just come in off the
Yeah.
clouds, off the craggy. Oh, so
Did you go
beautiful
to
there.
the Eel River area? Like
I
the
don't
Eel
remember
River
that.
and
like Arcata.
yeah, and what about the redwoods? Have you checked out the redwoods?
Yes. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just that's where we're all supposed to be, right? Like
Yeah.
it
Totally.
just
No, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's awesome
feels
up
like
there.
heaven. I don't even believe in
Yeah.
Yeah.
heaven. Sorry if you do, but that is heaven. That would convince
Yeah.
me.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Now you'd love Ashland, you gotta check it out. But where
Okay.
we went to college, there was no choices. You were in a dorm with a roommate.
Right.
So it's nice you had that. That's cool. And that you were able to kind of have everyone come in, but then
Yeah.
you were able to say, "Okay, go back to your
Yeah,
room now.
get
I get
out.
my own."
Yes, I'm going to sleep now. Yes.
Yeah.
And then your sophomore year, were you in an apartment then, or did you have
Yeah,
roommates?
a bunch of us girls from the dorm, decided it would be a good idea to have 7 girls renting a house together.
That
So,
sounds like fun.
it was fun until it wasn't. Yes, there
Yeah,
Yes.
that
was
sounds
a
crazy.
lot of
How many
drama.
bathrooms did
There were a
was
lot of bathrooms. It was like those crazy college houses. I
okay,
don't know if it was a boarding house at one point, but it was it was
alright.
like this, but no, it was we had great parties, but at a certain point I don't think people even wanted to come to the parties because there was always some drama that was
With the
exploding.
girls.
Yes. Yes.
Are you still friends with any of them?
Yeah, well actually we were friends in high school, but not best friends until college. And she's now a very famous actress, Amy Landecker. I don't know if you know Amy, but she was in the
I
show
don't think so.
Transparent. I don't know if you watch Transparent.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Should we?
it's a great show, yeah. And then
Okay,
do
I'll
you
check it
watch
out.
Your Honor with Bryan Cranston?
No, but I everyone keeps telling me I need to watch that
Yeah,
show.
she's in that. She's married to Bradley
Okay,
Whitford, but I don't want to just be like she's
okay.
married to Bradley Whitford. No, she's a very
Right,
accomplished
right,
actress.
right. Okay.
So
Now
we
I have to
were,
'cause
yeah,
everyone says I gotta check out that show.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we were best friends throughout the 4 years, and we had lots of fights, but, yes, that she's my
And you guys
sister.
are still friends. That's cool.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
then junior year, did you guys ditch the house? No more
Yeah.
7 girls in a
I don't
house?
know if you guys went through this, but I feel like so sophomore year is when the whole, like, Deadhead revival thing happened, like, the fake
Oh, we went
Deadhead.
through it.
Yeah. But you know what I mean?
We're
It was
deadheads.
you were Deadheads?
We are
Yeah.
You are
deadheads.
Deadheads.
I don't know, can you see the cassettes?
I don't know if she can see them,
No,
probably
but I don't
not.
see, like, a tapestry, a paisley tapestry behind you, I
We
don't.
had that at one point in
Of
our
course you
lives.
Oh,
did,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, we joined in that hard. We've
Yeah.
probably seen over 100 Dead concerts.
Okay.
So, if you combine Jerry Garcia and all that, but that would have been, like, our sophomore year in high school when we
Yeah, no, I was
started
gonna
that.
say it started earlier, yeah.
Yeah, or
Oh,
before college, like,
are we the
that
same
would have been what,
age?
80 we were born in '71.
Oh, okay, right, so that makes sense,
You
yeah.
were, like, a ju you were a senior, we were a
Well, I
sophomore.
guess
Yeah.
well, it did start in earnest then. They
Yeah.
really came out with a what was it, Touch of Grey in 1986,
You
which
know
then
what?
just
Oh my
blew up.
god. You were right because now I'm flashing back to my ex-boyfriend who was so cool in high school, and he had all these tie-dye shirts he was selling. He was so entrepreneurial, and I was such a
Yeah.
dork, and I wasn't cool around him. You're right, it was high school where it started.
Yeah, it started in high school
Maybe
and
that's why I hate the dead.
Yeah.
maybe.
It's
Yeah.
so hey, listen, no. A lot of people don't like the dead. It's an acquired taste. It's
I
an
blame
acquired
the
and I think
mushrooms that didn't work the first time I went. I think
Yeah.
that
there you go.
You
yeah.
gotta try them
There
again.
no, yeah. Did you ever go to a show?
I did. So sophomore year, our house got divided very quickly into hardcore deadheads and not. And I remember these people would bring people back from the concerts to live
Yeah.
off our food and our money. And they
Oh,
had
that's
names that
awesome.
were not real. And
Yeah,
they were down on
that's hilarious.
capitalism, but they were not down, against using our money. And I just remember that when I would
No.
hear the bells on the ankles, I was like, shit.
Yeah.
I'm dying.
I wore
You summed
those.
it up perfect. Yeah, that's
You
Nicole.
were in
I
our
wore
house.
I
Yeah, probably.
No, but it was all hypocrisy, right? Because
Yes,
we all came from good, like families with money usually, or
exactly.
we weren't
Yeah,
struggling and
No.
or like Trustafarian kids,
Yeah.
yeah.
but everyone was like, no, and it rebelled against that. It was all just so. We have a listener who said it was pick me's. We were like the first pick me.
That's
I don't know
hilarious.
if you've heard that term, pick
Oh, pick
me's.
me? Yeah. Pick
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a pick
I
me
mean,
girl
like a
for my son,
pick
actually,
me
that's what
girl.
I joke about. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Right
there you
here,
go.
love me."
So, yeah,
in
yeah,
Madison
exactly.
though, Madison is
Madison's
like
hippie.
well,
Oh, massive.
they used to have the 420 fest in
Oh,
Madison, right? The
Harvest
big
Fest. Yeah.
smokers. Yeah, they
Here's the
started
thing,
there.
I was in a weird position. I was a hippie who hated the dead. I like Crosby,
Yeah.
Stills, and
Yeah,
Nash. That was my jam. So
Oh,
I was a
same,
hippie.
yeah,
I
same.
think it was the people that I came encounter with kind of killed it for me. But also,
Yeah,
you have to admit, it is, and I'm a music nerd. Like I love music, but it is a
yeah,
jam band. You have to like jam bands,
yeah,
and
yes.
yep,
the
Oh,
drugs
yeah.
do help. And for whatever reason, mine did not
yeah,
work when I went to that one concert, and there was a huge storm, and we were sleeping in mud, and I was like,
Oh,
so I don't
yeah,
know, but I want to be clear. I totally respect them. And
Yeah.
I get
Oh,
it,
yeah,
like
no, no,
no, but I
I
do,
get it,
like,
trust
the
me.
music's
Yeah,
good, it's just
yeah.
it comes
No, but
with
you
such
have
a
The
to
price
like
tag,
jam band. You
and
have
I
to like
don't,
the
I'm
jam
not a
people
band.
jam band.
who
Yeah,
I'm with you though. The people I love the music. I
yeah,
feel like I was going to church and then it
yeah,
all ended, but the people were driving me crazy there at the end.
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, and it still happens. We go
Yeah.
see, dead cover bands. There's one plays in our town, and our kids are deadheads,
Yeah.
so we
That's so
go,
cute!
and it's yeah, it's we love that, right?
Yeah.
But, they're still, like, as adults, like, asshole deadheads. Like, everyone's trying to be like, "I'm more deadhead than you." It's like, "Stop." But
Yeah.
they were like that then, you
I
know?
I'm so glad you said that. That's what it was. When those people
Yeah.
with the ankle bracelets chiming around, there was a holier than thou, some
Yes,
Yeah.
kind of spiritual superiority, and I'm like,
yes.
Yeah.
"What?" And I just it was bullshit. And so
It
it
was
is
Yeah.
such
unfortunate
Yep.
bullshit.
because I don't think I've ever, because I'll find myself singing some of the songs. I'm like, "Fuck, it's a good song." I'm like, "Just
No,
let
but it
it
makes
The
in."
Oozers.
it makes it yeah, he called them the oozers, but it was just like just pseudo, just fakeness,
Yeah,
and it was all this clout crap, and you could never be hippie enough or hardcore enough or
exactly.
deadhead enough, and
Yes.
it was dumb. I trust me, I get it, and in
Yeah.
Ashland, which was such a hippie town, it was like everyone's competing to be the most, like, granola that you can.
They're like Mean Girls.
Oh,
They're granola Mean
Yeah.
yes,
Girls.
yeah.
100%.
I'm
So
like,
Yeah.
"I know
between
you
that
people. I went to middle school
yeah.
with you. You just
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
armpit hair now. That's the
Yeah.
only thing."
Yes,
You're
you're
an
right.
asshole who smells funny with bells on your ankle.
Yes, and who's eating all my
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
No,
hilarious. I
you
love that.
nailed it. We agree with everything you're saying. What's funny is we really love the music. Like, we
Yeah.
really love the
Yeah,
music, but no, the scene, and sometimes you see them like, we weren't really into Fish. We saw
yeah.
Fish. This is an interesting story, I think, is at school at our school, there was an, what was it, like
It's
an
called the Brit
the
Ballroom.
Brit Ballroom, but it's
Yeah.
like the size of, like, a cafeteria in a middle school with a stage.
Mhm.
And, we saw Fish there, and there was only 100 of us. It was when
Oh,
Fish
wow.
first started,
Yeah.
and that was the only time we've seen Fish. We're like, "It's never gonna get better than this."
Yeah,
Everyone was on mushrooms,
yeah.
and, they were just on this, like, stage where you would put on a play in middle school,
That's
and there
cool.
was a keg, and it was
Yeah,
cool. So
Yeah.
we're like,
yeah.
Great.
we never got into the Fish scene, and I know there's a whole asshole scene there. I think everywhere,
There's
every
assholes everywhere.
scene
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, that makes sense because you had that going on in your house, and then you had an
Yeah.
ex-boyfriend that was into it. So, the dead has a lot of
Uh,
negative
Not
connotations
exactly.
for
I'm gonna have to
you.
rewire. I mean, it does help that, like, John Mayer, even though he's like a total slut, but I mean, I get that all these professional why they're
Yeah.
drawn to it. I
Yeah,
will
yeah, yeah.
revisit it. I will wear a mustache and a wig so nobody knows. Like,
Well,
"You
it's a
hate the
cash
dead."
engine,
Yeah.
right? It's a cash engine for these guys now.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, the Sphere in Vegas. Have you guys done
Yeah.
that?
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
But you know what also was going on, I mean, this was more yeah, this was when we were in college, was grunge was also
And that
taking
was
over.
me. I was like,
Yeah,
"Yes."
yeah,
It
Did you
just
hop
yeah,
on
wasn't.
that early when it came out? Because we
Yeah.
missed it. We
Yeah.
got it
Oh,
later.
no. I
yeah.
loved it. It was like it was a great reaction to all that dead stuff too, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes,
Yeah.
To
yes,
me, the Grateful Dead movement was toxic positivity. It was
yeah,
oppressive. And this was just angry and like Mudhoney and just badass
Yeah.
and the Stooge, like all that stuff. I was so into it. And I remember when Nirvana happened, I was like, what is this? You
Yeah.
yes,
know?
Yeah.
yes. I'll
That
never
was right
forget
out of
hearing them.
college. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were the authentic
Yes.
to the fake positivity or the toxic
Yes.
positivity, they were the authenticity,
Yes.
and it was so
Exactly.
refreshing.
It
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
No, it was all of that whole scene, and, that movie Singles,
Oh, yeah.
I tell my kids Singles and Reality Bites are the 2 movies if you really wanna know what it was like for us in our early 20s,
1,000%.
mid-20s.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That was
Reality
it.
Bites. Yes.
Yeah, those 2 movies,
Yeah.
but that music and what's funny is I feel like kids now are really looking at the whole grunge scene in the '90s like how we looked at the '60s and
Which
the
is
music from the
crazy to
'60s.
me.
I
Yeah.
know, because
Well, I
I feel
don't
like that was 10 years ago.
Mhm.
exactly. I know how crazy it was. It was like, that was 50 years ago. You're like, no,
No, there's no way.
no.
So, but I mean, and think about it, when we were in college and we were doing all these things, going to concerts or whatever, there were no cell phones.
I
It
loved
was
it.
more like meet me at that one light post at in an hour, and you were
Yeah.
hoping you'd find your people or anything social you wanted to do, if you weren't home with the landline, you're just, like, hoping you're gonna run into your friends, that
Yeah.
spontaneity,
Yeah.
and they don't have that now.
No, and they have no need to leave the house ever between video games and cell phones.
Yeah. No, I'm so grateful that we had that time where we could be fully present, and there were those moments of where everything just kind of came together.
It just worked out.
It just
Yes.
worked
Yeah.
out, and it was just
And we live to tell about it.
yeah. It
Yes.
was it was the universe. The universe would just you didn't have to work at it, plan it, text
No,
about it, and
just
no one had
happened.
24/7 access to you,
Oh,
you know, which they do now. And I think that time, I don't know about for you, but that was when raves were starting too, right?
I feel
That
like that was
like
right out of college that they
and for
started?
us, I think it was like our junior
I
year
think it
in
was our junior
college.
and senior year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like train spotting and all that stuff. Was that our my 20s? Like, yeah, but the
What do you
rave
call that?
culture and San Francisco, like warehouse
Yeah.
Yeah.
raves, and I was already
And
like
like
an adult way too soon, so I didn't go to any of that stuff.
Yeah.
yeah. No, we didn't go, but I know ecstasy was starting then.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
up
Oh,
until then, it had just been pot
you know, we
and
got into the ecstasy my junior year. That was we used to have
okay.
ecstasy parties at our house.
At the
Again,
house with the girls?
I was
That's
with the
Madison.
girls.
Madison was a little ahead of the curve in many
Yes.
ways. Yeah.
Yes. We
Yeah.
there were a lot of drugs. I mean, I only ever wanted to do hippie drugs. To this day I've never
Yeah.
done cocaine. I'm like, I'm good. I'm really hyper.
Same.
Yeah, same.
We
Yeah.
haven't either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
And then,
weed, shrooms, and LSD
yeah,
once. I felt nothing, thank God. And I'm like, I'm too scared of LSD. I don't, that's not.
yeah, yeah. No,
You might have been tripping your ass off and
I'm
didn't know it.
I might have. Yeah.
I'm sober.
Yeah, exactly.
and then for us, we smoked cigarettes and now it's
Oh yeah.
vaping,
Yeah.
and I would trade it. I would rather see kids smoking cigarettes than
Yeah,
vaping.
then crystallize their lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
way, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I love smoking. It's the greatest thing in the world, and I obviously quit it because I want to live. But I've told my son like smoking. You know, I'm just every time I see a smoker, and like if he only knew.
Yeah.
My stepdad just found some old photo album. I have no idea where this came from. Somebody put an album together of me from college. I am smoking in every photo. You
Oh,
know,
that's funny.
if you
It
saw
was
that,
so accepted. You could smoke in restaurants still, you could smoke in bars,
airplanes.
airplane you could still
Mhm.
do that then.
Yeah,
Even in, like, in the early '90s, you could
yeah.
still do that.
What'd you smoke? Camel Light?
I did some Camel Lights, Marlboro Lights.
Mhm.
What was it? The American Spirit came out.
Oh,
You
yeah.
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Trying to go natural and healthy,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. The
Ridiculous.
drum, roll your own, so you're really healthy.
Oh, yeah, we
Yes.
did that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Those were rough on
They
the
double
throat.
Yeah.
as, rolling
Yeah,
joints.
yeah, yeah. Did you do any study abroad programs?
I did. And I have to say, what's so sick about nicotine is I'm salivating. So for anybody watching or listening, it
Yeah.
is a highly addictive drug.
It is, it is.
Okay. All right. I need some gum. Here, I'll just gnaw on this pizza crust. Um, yeah, so when the house finally exploded, and then Amy and I, with the one we still had a sorority girl in the group, Maria. It was so funny. I don't know what she liked about us, but the three of us ended up getting like a really posh. I don't know why, but these developers built these like nice condos, and then it was like we had a reaction to all that, so we moved in there and still kept doing ecstasy. But anyway, so yeah, I went to Italy abroad back when people could afford to do that,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. And
Did they go with you?
well, Amy and I had a very codependent relationship where I would pull back quite a bit. And I'm like, how much do I talk about this? We had a lot of conflict. I think she would agree with that. So I was like, I'm going to Siena. You can't go to Siena. So she went to Florence.
No
Could
way.
we be any more basic bougie bitches? So we were both in Italy at the same time, but we were in different cities. And I'm like, I'm
Okay.
having my experience. You have yours. So we
That's
saw,
actually really healthy communication at that age with a friend. A
yeah,
lot of young
Yeah.
women struggle with communicating with their friends. A lot of women would struggle communicating with their friends. So the fact that you guys could do that, it's pretty evolved.
that's true. You're right. I will.
Yeah, take that.
And you're still
Yes,
friends today.
we
Yeah.
are. We have,
Pro
That's pretty good.
we
probably because you
are,
Yeah.
didn't go together.
say it again.
Probably because you didn't
Yeah,
go
we
to
didn't go
Italy
together.
together.
Yeah,
We've
right.
had our, the movie Beaches, like, we've had our
Yes.
moments, but we
Yes,
will
yes, yes.
like, when the times are really tough, if we really need a hand, I
Yeah,
call her, she calls me, like,
yeah,
nobody
y
knows me better, nobody knows her better, like, I don't know, at a certain point, with an adult friendship like that, I think we all
yeah,
hit these crossroads, like, "Well, what do we do?" Are we splitting up? Are we and we had a
yeah,
very clear moment in our 30s, and, we both decided, I don't know if we articulated it, but it's like, "No,
right.
this is come on."
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
so yeah,
No,
she
it's
was in
cool.
full yeah, and,
Were you alone where you went? Did you do this
I
all on your own?
no, I did, it was a program, so I lived with a family, and there was a group of us, and,
Okay.
so, of course, there were horrible dynamics within the group. Groups suck. That's
Yes,
really
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
comes down to. It is impossible to
yeah,
have a healthy group.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I got pregnant there, that was fun.
No way.
Yeah, I was
From
very,
an Italian? An
from an
Italian person?
Italian. My American boyfriend was
Wow.
not real happy. I was a very busy girl. I had a lot of fun in college, and I was very fertile and very stupid, and, you know what's so funny when you're older, and I don't know about you guys, but I I'm trying to do the math. I mean, I waited till the last possible biological moment to have my son, so I was dancing on the edge of, "Uh-oh, maybe I waited too long," and then you have to
Right,
time it, and when are we ovulating, and well, you have to
right.
but back then it was like, "Pregnant, pregnant," and, it's like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, it's such bad luck." No, you're ovulating. The body is designed
Yeah,
to
yeah,
make you
Yes,
horny and irresponsible in that moment,
yeah.
so
and you were in Italy. So
oh, yeah.
it's like it's a trifecta.
Yeah,
You
it was
you
bound to
weren't gonna
happen.
win that battle.
And the
Yes.
ecstasy is the love drug, right?
Yes.
Interestingly enough, though, I feel like the ecstasy is a cuddle drug. I don't feel like it's a
Got it.
Mm,
sex drug.
Interesting. Yeah.
that would make
That's
sense.
yeah,
That would
yeah.
make sense. Okay.
And I'd love to
So,
blame it on the ecstasy, Brian, but it was just me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
did you come home when you found out you were pregnant?
No, the man I was involved with there was in love with me and wanted me to stay and have the baby and marry him. And I'm like, I have to get home and graduate and I'm gonna make movies. I'm a film major. Like, no, no, bro. So I did have an abortion there, and
Mhm.
I I had had one here in the States. It was traumatic, and so if you can believe it, I actually have a comedy set around this, which is very funny. But I will not tell you the funny version now. Obviously, I thought I am so screwed. I'm pregnant in Italy, like Italy, the
Yeah.
most conservative. I don't want to say it was the best experience of my life, but they treated me like it was just interesting. They it was like it was so human and or humane, and I don't know, they like put you under. I don't know. Does anybody that watches this
That's
or
Oh,
listens
it's
this wants
cool.
to hear this? I have no idea.
No, I think
Yeah,
that there's women that, this would resonate with,
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
So it was
I
like
mean
crazy how nice they were to me, as opposed
yeah.
to here, where the guy was like, "Why is she crying?" I'll never forget that. The guy that did it
Oh
here.
my god. Oh my gosh.
So
No,
Interesting.
that's amazing they put you under. That's
and
wonderful.
kept you there all day in a hospital room.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I've talked in, I did my story on one of our episodes, and I did share I also had an abortion, um, when I was 22, not
Yeah.
Brian, other boyfriend. And, I will say the doctor was nice, but it was incredibly rushed, sterile. I did
Yeah.
go to a doctor's office,
Yeah.
but it was just very like, "Okay, you did it, and then you went home." And I looking back now as a 54-year-old,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have just gone home and life shouldn't have just, like, continued on the way that hospital stay would have been amazing,
Yeah.
just to have that moment, because it's not a positive experience no
No.
matter what. It's
Yeah.
not like something that you're like, "Yay, I get to go do this."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the fact that they made this, um, as they were gentle with you and as you said, humane and honored your experience for you
Yeah.
is amazing,
It
you
was.
know?
It was a
Yeah,
shock to me,
yeah. 'Cause there's always
so
I mean, I don't know about you, but even being pro-choice and all that, there's still some shame to what you're like, for
oh,
me,
of
I wasn't like
course.
I wasn't
No.
proud of what I was doing, right? I was actually mad at myself, and, like, how did I get myself in, like
Yeah,
and I
you
know
feel
how I did,
stupid. Yes.
but you feel stupid, so
Yeah.
you don't need more people making you feel that way, so
Right.
it sounds like they didn't make the situation any worse and actually help make it a little bit better for you, so
A
that's really cool.
1000%. And yeah, I was just like, where am I? This is
Yeah.
bizarre. So
Did your parents know? Like, did you reach out to your parents?
no, that's a fun story. So I got back from Italy. Well, actually, first, then my American boyfriend came to visit me, and I thought I could just pretend this didn't happen. And of course, I broke down in tears. I'm like, I have to tell you something. So that was fun.
Yeah.
So
When
that was a
did
love
you guys stay
triangle.
together
We
or
traveled through southern Italy together, fighting and crying and having
oh
sex.
gosh.
And then we had to go back to Siena because I owed a paper to get my 16 credits. And then my then boyfriend was so upset. He came to the window. He's like, Julia, like it was so crazy. It was very
Yeah.
dramatic. It was very
Yeah,
dramatic.
yeah, yeah.
You couldn't
Yeah.
wish for more out of a trip to Italy, frankly. I
Yeah.
mean,
It definitely sounds memorable.
it's yeah.
And did the Italian guy disappear or was he also chasing you?
He wanted to stay in touch, and it's funny. My mother, that's the only man she's ever met. They came to visit me, and that she loved. It was so interesting. I don't know what it was about Bob. I'm just gonna call him Bob. Um,
There must have been something about him.
He was lovely. He was a lovely guy. I mean,
Yeah.
but, I have, avoidant attachment, like, 20, or like,
Mm.
"This isn't happening, bro." Like, "You have no idea
Yeah.
where I've been
Yeah.
raised."
Right.
But he was very sweet, and, we stayed in touch over the years, and then once I got married and had a kid, and he was Facebook Messengering to me, I'm like, "No, I think we need
Yeah.
to."
Yeah. Yeah. Be done
Um,
with that.
yeah.
So then when you got back, did you share with your
Yeah, so I
parents
went
what
to the
happened?
gynecologist with my mom, a twofer, I don't know, like, she was seeing her, and then I went in, and this is so crazy. We went and had lunch afterwards, and she said, "So why didn't you tell me that you had an abortion in Italy?" I'm like, "What? The doctor told you? Like, that's
Did
illegal."
Yeah.
did the doctor tell her?
Yes.
Wow.
So
And you weren't
crazy.
underage or anything, you were an
No.
adult.
Yeah.
Was HIPAA a thing then?
I'm
I don't
pretty
remember.
sure. I don't know.
I don't know.
We don't remember
That's
anything.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
HIPAA
it was
didn't roll
crazy.
around till the early 2000s.
Yeah, so I don't know. It maybe wasn't illegal.
It wasn't illegal. All right. Well, it was super,
Yeah.
super shitty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I had to assure my mom it was okay. And I'm like, let me tell you about the
Yeah.
20 other ones. Just kidding. I'm joking. It's a joke.
It could be like, "But there could be 20 more, but there's not." Don't
No,
you feel better about
exactly.
that?
Exactly. I mean, knowing my
Okay,
mom,
so
she was probably relieved, frankly, because I think she looks at her life as having a kid so young and
right,
derailed so much for her. But anyway,
right. So, yeah, I could see that. I could see
yeah.
both sides of that. So that was your junior year when all this went
Junior year
on?
abroad, then came back senior year, and I really sound like I was a troublemaker. I really wasn't. I was pretty middle of the road Madison, Wisconsin gal. But
You were
anyway, yeah.
Gen X.
I was Gen
Like,
X, exactly. We can just say
It
that.
all sounds
remember that, like, we were crazy as we were 30
Yes.
when we were 10,
Yes.
and we just took that energy and vibe through high school, through college, and, once we were out, we just, like, were chaos, like Tasmanian
Yes.
devils, just, like,
Yes.
doing all the things and not thinking at all, because
How
that's how
about
we were raised,
yes. How about
you
age
know?
14? I'm in bars. I
yeah.
don't know about you guys. Like bars at age 14. I looked like an adult, had my fake
Yeah,
ID. Like
yeah.
kids don't
We
look
had,
older
like,
now.
in our town, they would have warehouses, and they would have, like, teen clubs,
Ah,
and we'd go to that, but
yeah.
everyone was drinking and smoking clove cigarettes. Do you remember clove
Oh yeah.
cigarettes?
Oh
Yeah.
god. Yeah.
Gross. Yeah.
And so it's like, I just can't even picture my kids doing
No, no.
I
My
think I was 13.
yeah.
Everything you've described so far sounds totally normal to me,
Yeah,
Okay,
we
but
good.
I
are.
would never let any of my kids do it.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And I don't need
Yeah.
my son to know any of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoops. No.
Does he know anything? Or if he watches, will he be like, "Oh my god, mom."
Oh, it's fine. I mean,
He's old enough.
he is old enough. I mean, I don't have him come to comedy shows, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's as needed at the age appropriate time. Kn
yes.
knowledge at the age appro it's not
Yeah.
like she's gonna be like, "Look at this episode I
Yeah, yeah.
did,"
Yeah.
she'll share it when you feel he's ready, so
Fast forward to the abortion
yeah.
story, you'll like
Yes.
that.
Well, see, I
And how
would
you
want him to know that. I would want him to know that, you
Right,
know?
right,
There's like
right,
this
yeah,
feminist in me that's like,
yeah,
anyway, I feel
that
like I
makes sense.
don't have a problem sharing facts about my life with him, but by the
yeah.
time I'm on stage doing it, it's so I think it would be very upsetting to see your parent it doesn't make sense, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
why is
Yeah.
she making fun of this painful experience about
right.
herself? I just
It's
also
nuanced, and
half
they
my
have to
stuff is
be
about him, so that he can't see
Yeah.
that.
yeah. They have to
That'll
be at
come
the
with
right
age, though.
yeah, with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
right age to get all that. So then your senior year, you were in Madison, back in
Yep,
Madison?
back in Madison and,
Did you live
yeah.
with Amy again?
Oh, yeah, we had another epic just it was bad, man. I don't it's really crazy what we've been through. I remember our biggest fight was I have always loved to cook and serve people food and whatever, and I made this incredible meal for her, and to this day, when I get mad at my son when he's not eating, I remember this fight. But she wasn't coming out of her room, and I'm like, "You get out here and eat this meal now!" It was so crazy. We were like an old married couple.
Oh my was it
That's
just the
awesome.
2 of you that year? Or did you
Yes.
have other
And
people? Okay.
I was full into the film world at that point. She had become a theater person, so we were in different, worlds, you know?
Was that your major?
They didn't have a film major, but they had comm arts, so yes, I was a film head, my whole plan. I made horrible 16 millimeter films, and she was my muse, she was always in them, and, I mean, they really were horrible, and yeah, screenwriting, all that stuff, and then my big plan was I was gonna move to New York and be this guerrilla filmmaker, and I moved to LA. We'll
Now
be
why did you
back
decide to
after the
move
break. Sorry, just kidding.
why did you decide to move to LA? So you graduated, you moved to LA, why did you decide to move to LA?
So I graduated. I started working in Chicago as a PA. Also, by the way, back then, do you remember getting out of college and you had to find a job? There
Yep,
was no
Yeah.
like internet. Like I
yeah,
opened
Yeah.
the yellow pages and looked
Yeah.
yeah,
under film. Like I,
yep,
how
yeah,
did any of us
no,
do anything?
If
yeah,
you left your market where your parents maybe had some connections, you were on your own.
yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Walk
Classified ads, yellow pages,
yeah,
hit the street.
classified, I remember
Yeah,
that,
classified.
circling the
yeah,
jobs, and then
Yeah.
walking into these businesses and being like, "Can I fill out an application?" And
Yeah.
yeah.
just going to the next business, yeah, and they wait out for them to call your landline and leave a message on your answering machine
Yeah.
if
Answering
they wanted
machine.
yes, yeah, it's crazy.
You know what's crazy? And I know this is a nonlinear moment, but I don't know about your kids. My son is obsessed with the 80s, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I think that's a thing right now.
Is
A
it?
lot of kids yeah, the '80s and the '90s.
So
They
funny.
think that time was, like, magical and nothing bad was happening, I
They've
think.
romanticized
They
it.
romanticize it,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a pretty good time,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it? I don't
Well, we
know.
were all having fun, but we
Yeah.
probably were so used to blocking out
Yes.
any risks, we were
Yes.
like, "Oh, it's all fine. Everything's
Yes.
fine. Let's just go."
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if we blocked it out as much as we just it wasn't there.
or we didn't
Our
care.
parents weren't in our heads like we are
True, true,
with
yeah,
our kids.
Yes. I mean, my son believes there is danger around every corner
yeah.
because I told him
Yeah.
that was the case.
It's so
Yeah.
funny because I think Gen Xers have anxiety from the parental neglect,
Yep.
but our kids have anxiety that we've put in them of fear.
Oh, yeah.
So we both have anxiety, but for 2 different reasons,
Totally.
Yeah.
you know?
My son
So,
is probably 6 feet tall, 160 pounds, and he's still terrified he's going to be kidnapped and trafficked. I have a whole bit
yeah,
about it. And it's all because I told him when he was I was just,
yeah,
how do I get him to not leave my side, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we told our kids that. I you
Yeah.
can't go to the bathroom. I'm like, "You guys are a hot commodity on the streets. Listen, they could get a lot of money for you.
Yeah.
So just remember that."
Unfortunately, that there's some truth to it.
There is.
That's what
Yes.
sucks.
Well, so you didn't go straight to LA. You went to Chicago
So
after
I
you
went back to
graduated?
Chicago, live with my folks. They were on vacation. I opened up the yellow pages, like film. And I don't even know how, but I
Wow.
found the first production in Chicago. And I will say this about Gen X, like we get shit done. I was like, I will
Yeah.
figure this out. So I found a production. I called them, just cold call. I went in, I was like, you gotta hire me, and they hired me
That's
as
awesome.
an intern, and then they got in trouble and they're like, we have to pay you. I'm like, you don't have to. And they're like, no, we have to pay you. I'm like, okay. So I started off working for $250 a week as a locations assistant. I thought, this is amazing, this is crazy that I'm getting
Yeah.
paid to be on a movie set. and I'm pausing because I'm trying to figure out how much of the next part I want to tell you. So I'm going to tell you a shorter version.
Okay.
Okay, well, this is the so as much as I'm a love avoidant, I also fall in love really quickly. That might be the thing. So I've had a lot of relationships. I don't know if that was important. Okay, I'm on a movie set and I fell in love with this guy and we moved in together. I moved in quickly with people. I was like, let's probably because
The moving.
yes. I'm like, what's the
The
big deal?
moving.
Let's just get a place together.
It's just moving, it's what you do.
We'll
You
pull
move.
That's
the jet and do
hilarious.
some wallpaper.
Yeah,
Oh
you
my
just yeah.
God.
Yeah.
You should have been like, "Can you wallpaper? I'm kind of into
Yes.
that."
That is hilarious. I never, that's why I was like, yeah, what's the big deal? Let's
Yeah.
cohabitate. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, hopefully you know this about me by now from the time you've been on the phone. If anything I'm saying feels too in the weeds or boring, you can just cut me off because I can get lost in the next chunk of details. So
No,
just
go for it.
okay. So I my mom was a very big deal in Chicago at the time, and she's like trying to help me out with her connections. And the only connection she had was with like this insurance guy. I'm like, this is my Hollywood connection. I am so screwed. But what I didn't realize is he insured and bonded all the films in Hollywood. Like it was
Mm.
actually a
That's
big,
cool.
I just didn't
Yeah.
even know about that role. And then he introduced me to this like real estate mogul in town. Again, I'm like, I'm not gonna get anywhere. But it turns out he was financing movies in Hollywood. So we became fast friends. He used to fly me around in his private jet. And yeah. Anyway,
That's nice. So what were
sure.
you in, like, your early 20s being f or was this in your
Yeah.
20s
Yeah.
on
I
a
was
private jet?
21. Yep. It
Nice.
was a little crazy. And
So you're living with the new guy
yeah.
and flying on a private jet.
Yeah. So, he kept trying to he got me a job as a PA in some movie, and I went off and did that, and then finally he's like, "Well, if you wanna come out to LA, you can be my assistant." So, yeah, I was an assistant, and then, I got bumped up ridiculously fast. We started a new company, and all of a sudden I was a very fancy executive. I was,
And how old were you?
I think I was 22 or 23.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's a young town. Like they don't like you
Yeah.
older with experience here. They like their executives really young.
Okay.
Um, but anyway, we were starting this whole but I did work for him for quite some time.
So did
Yes.
you move into alone then? Into a
Yeah, then I
place
got a little
out there?
studio out in the hills and in Beachwood Canyon and I was happy because it was a new place. I was like, new place,
New place.
yay.
Hey, there's a theme.
Exactly. And
I like so this would have been during, like, what, the mid-90s?
it was right after the riots I moved out to LA. I remember that because there was
Oh,
a
wow.
Yeah,
store
okay.
on Melrose. It was called Great Balls of Fire, and, obviously somebody thought it was funny, and it had burned to the ground. It was, like, half burned, and
Yeah.
it was just
Yeah.
that is burned in my memory, you know?
Yeah.
That was the heart of the riots too, I think, that area, right? Melrose
Yes.
area?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then OJ happened right after, so that's
Oh,
when
wow.
yeah, that was wild.
You were there in
I
the
was
heyday of
there,
all that.
man. I was there.
Yeah.
And then we had our first earthquake. I was like, hell no, I'm leaving LA. And I didn't. And they say if you get through your first earthquake, do they have earthquakes in Portland?
No, I don't think we
Well,
nothing.
I think when I lived up there too at the time, they would happen, but they were, like, in the middle of the night, and they were minor.
Yeah, you didn't
Okay.
feel it or
Nothing like
anything.
what you guys went through.
No,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
nothing.
Or like San Francisco, what was it, the
That
mid-90s that
yeah, that there
in
was the big one. That
Oakland and
was yeah, in the
Right.
'80s, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this was
No,
the
we didn't have that.
Northridge. Does
Yeah,
Northridge earthquake mean anything to you?
yes,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
that
So I was
yeah.
there for
yeah.
that. That
That
was,
was wow.
yeah.
You
And I
had a lot
stayed.
happen.
Oh, a lot.
We
A lot. But that's the good thing about being Gen X. We've all had a lot.
yeah,
True, true,
Um,
and as long as you just keep moving, you're good.
Exactly. I think it's interesting because I think I wrote about this. This was the pre-Me Too movement time. You know, this was,
Yeah,
I find this an interesting period of my life because I was raised by this incredibly, ball busting feminist mother, but she had also come up in the kind of Don Draper Mad Men times. So I can only imagine what she had to put up with as she was coming
yeah,
up. So on the one
yeah, yeah.
hand, she taught me never to rely on a man for anything. So I just was like, great. And I married men with no money my whole life. She's like, that's not what I meant. I'm like, you said never rely on men with money. But she'd been so burned from my grandfather and all that stuff. So,
Yeah,
so I don't know, it was I think we were like a misinformed feminist generation where
Definitely.
we were taught, don't look vulnerable, don't be shrill, don't cry, don't get upset, you look hysterical. So you just shoved everything down.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
um but then as I progressed in Hollywood, I experienced other forms of discrimination, which even now as I say it, I'm like, I feel like I'm whining, but it was bad. It was bad, you know.
Well, what be just because,
Like there were things like this said to me. I usually just pull these two out and then the picture is painted. There was a director I was working for. I think I was executive vice president of production at the time. I sent notes on his cut. And I wasn't there when he said it, so I don't know if he actually said it, but it almost doesn't matter. But supposedly or allegedly, he got the notes in a fax machine, paper coming out, and was
yeah.
so upset he started to jump up and down and say, "I'm gonna chop her head off." And oh, probably should have said trigger warning. I'm so used to this. I'm gonna chop her head off and fuck her dead corpse.
Oh
Uh,
my god.
yeah, and the craziest part about that, it was told to me by my boss at the time, who thought it was so funny, and then kept telling that story in front of people with me at the table, and I just had to laugh about it, you know? And, it's crazy! What the
It's
That's
crazy.
hell?
wild. Yeah, that's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
That was
It's actually
okay.
it's actually trauma.
It is,
Like,
it is.
it's trauma,
Yes,
and it's repeated exposure to trauma, like,
yes,
and we can go talk about the patriarchy and all that, but it's just the way with women have been treated, and even through the Gen X women, and the Gen X women, I think, just grinded through,
yeah,
just compartmentalized,
yes,
took it, took
yep,
it, and I think it's another reason, like, with our children,
yes,
especially we have a daughter, is the Gen Z women do
yes,
not put up with shit,
which I
and
love.
yes, but I
Yes,
think it's because the Gen X women had to. And we
1000%.
were like, "No, we're changing this.
Yeah,
We're guess what we're gonna give you? The
yep,
Gen Z women. Have
yep,
fun with that."
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
No, I mean,
because
thank
something
God
had to
for
change.
the Me Too movement, you know?
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
know,
Is it
anytime.
still like that, do you think, or
No,
has
no,
Me
it
Too helped?
really it revolutionized things
Yeah, cool.
because
Well,
of
and
social media.
that
You
was
could get
Yeah.
canceled very fast now. Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But the Me Too movement, wasn't that a lot of Gen X, would you say, women?
Is Ashley Judd Gen X? She started
Yeah,
it. Yeah. So yeah.
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 Yep,
Yeah.
and Rose McGowan,
Yeah.
she's Gen X.
Yeah.
So I think the Gen X women finally were like,
They broke.
"Fuck this.
Yeah.
We're done."
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I
They're
had
the ones.
stayed as an executive, I would have been with them. I mean, what was the other story I usually tell is that we was in a boardroom meeting and I laughed at some man's expense who was like 20 years older than me. He's like, "You think that's funny, you stupid fucking bitch?" And everybody laughed about it. I'm like, if that happened today, you get fired.
Yeah.
I can't
And
even imagine that. I work in a corporate environment, and
yes,
that's just not happening.
yes,
No.
The dude is walked out.
exactly. Oh no,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was all very like, and then the other,
Yeah.
and
Thank
yeah,
God all of that has changed,
yes,
And it isn't just in the work area, because talking about social media, you can be filmed anywhere now,
right,
yeah.
and so everyone can be held accountable,
yeah,
and
agreed.
and so
I
everyone.
It does suck for kids, though. I do feel bad for our
thousand
kids.
percent,
It was
yeah,
nice to be able to
Yeah.
smoke if you wanted to, right? And
yeah.
back you could get in trouble underage smoking or whatever.
Yeah.
Now
Oh,
it keeps you out of college, maybe.
Yeah.
no, it's horrible. They have no idea when they're posting stuff. They shouldn't.
Yeah.
No,
I
no, and, like, I know that, they say that Gen Z doesn't dance. We all dance when we would go out, we
Yeah.
dance,
Oh,
and the millennials
interesting.
dance,
Yeah.
but they don't dance. When they go to bars and stuff, they just kinda, although I know my daughter and her friends will,
Yeah.
but it's because 'cause they're like, we don't care," but it's not a group thing where everyone's doing it, and I think a lot of it's due to they don't wanna get filmed
You're getting filmed, yeah.
And
and get
mocked.
posted, so it makes them more
Yeah.
inhibited, you
Ew.
know?
It's very
So that part's
sad.
bad.
Yeah.
It's good and bad, you
Yeah.
know?
Like everything,
You
I
can't
guess.
it stops some people from maybe outwardly doing completely inappropriate things
Yeah.
'cause they might get filmed, but then the younger generation, it also can make them more inhibited, so
Yeah. Yeah.
but, thank God, so now in the industry would you say is completely different than when you first were there in your
Oh, yeah.
20s?
I mean, well, I'm out of that game, but
Mhm.
absolutely. So I went from that to being a screenwriter, which I didn't experience any of that, which was lovely. And then I don't know, was it and then I moved into reality TV, and that was when I returned to the corporate world, and I hadn't been in it for so long, and that's when I was suddenly, like you're saying, Brian, like, I'm like, "Whoa, like, there are
Yeah.
rules and paperwork, and if anything, I'm worried I'm gonna joke around too much," like, it
Right,
it
Yeah.
right,
was,
right.
Yep.
um
There's
but
HR.
yes!
Yeah.
I had never met an H that is so funny, I'm just realizing we never had HR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't have
And
had it
most
back
people
then.
think HR is there for you. They're there for the company. They're
Right.
to make sure execs don't do stupid shit, illegal
Yes.
shit, discriminatory things,
Yep.
protect the company.
When
Yeah.
you were a screenwriter, did you sell any of your stuff?
I did. I sold features and pilots, and you've not seen any of them because none of them got made. And you can actually make a kind of decent living selling things and not having them made. But at a certain point, if you don't get things made, then they show you the door. So, but it was during
But
this
you were
period. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, but you were paid for what you
I was
wrote.
paid for what I wrote. It was amazing. It felt amazing.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
cool.
sad and frustrated when it didn't take, like it didn't have the
Yeah.
traction to really. But at the end, I was always like, most people don't even get this. Like, this is good, So it
It
was
must be
great.
interesting though to create something and there's no outlet for the production of it. So it kinda just exists, right?
Well, that's why I love stand-up comedy. Not to jump right to
Yeah.
that, but it
Yeah.
exists immediately. There's no
Yeah.
notes. Well, the notes are the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's
Yeah.
the gatekeepers and whatever. This could be another 5-hour podcast on comedy, but I would just say, yes, this comedy for me is a massive sigh of relief after years of being an executive, after years of being a screenwriter, of years of being a reality TV producer. Like, it's just so pure.
So what got you there in the
Um,
comedy?
well, let's see, reality, but I feel like was there something in reality? There were some shenanigans in reality TV still. I just want to be clear. It's not perfect out there. I just want to I
Did you
just
work on any, reality shows that
that you would know.
that that we know or that
Maybe I did a lot of food stuff. Do you guys watch food stuff like American Barbecue Showdown? No.
no, no, I haven't I think the closest would be, the chef one, and I can't remember where they battle. They have
Oh,
to make
yeah.
stuff really fast. I don't
Yeah,
even
I
know the
can't even
name of
remember what
it.
that's called.
Yeah,
Samurai, I don't know.
something. Okay,
Yeah.
but you did stuff like cooking stuff?
I did docs, so I did whatever. I mean, it was my third leg in the business, and it was a fallback plan, a place to get
Okay.
paid to tell stories, without healthcare and a decent wage. It's a great world. So
Yeah.
Did you
yeah,
travel? Was it all in
sometimes
LA?
I came up through post, which means like writers basically get thrown into the post pile, so
Okay.
meaning production side goes out and shoots the thing and then they hand the footage to post. And I see you are musicians or
We
Yeah.
musicians.
we attempt, but no one none
I
of us really do any of it well.
We own enough instruments to have a band, but no one can play any of them.
I find that
And
hard
they're
to
not
believe.
just for show, it's not for lack
We
of trying,
tried.
it's
Yeah.
just completely suck. Yeah.
So, yeah. None of us are
That could be
artistic.
viral, the band that sucks. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks good though.
They look awesome. You have a beautiful setup. I did not even compliment you. I
Oh,
love the
thank
Oh, thanks.
setup,
you.
the depth of field behind you, the plant, it's very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot because I
Yeah,
know
no,
you
I
have a
we
lot of
appreciate it, yeah.
experience in this world, so
Yeah.
thank you very much.
That was
Thank
gorgeous.
you.
Do you like mine? The
Thank you.
broken ceiling head fan that's missing a thing? It's very
We
classy.
can't see that
Can't
Oh,
anymore
yeah.
because you
good.
moved.
Yeah. Thank you for
But
protecting me.
I like your kitties though. I love whenever they walk
Oh,
by.
I know when the little tail goes by.
Mhm. I love
Um,
that.
so yeah, in post, it's almost like you're given a bunch of musical notes and you make a song out of it. So
Yeah.
they shoot something and then we take all of it and you build a script with scenes and words. And it's really
Okay.
interesting work. If they paid better and they had health insurance and it was unionized, it'd be a great job. But it was
Yeah.
created as a union busting work
Yeah.
alternative. So it will, in my opinion, will never, well, now the whole town's over. I don't know how much of that you know about, but So, okay, so
So,
yes,
how long did you do that? The reality?
longer than I anticipated. I remember when I went into my first day, and I felt like a failure, like I didn't hack it as a writer, it was very embarrassing, and they brought me my little cubby hole. I'm like, "Cubby hole? Like, it's come to this?" It was so demoralizing, and my name was on it. I was like, "Whoa, whoa,
Oh, wow.
I'm not, this is temporary."
Yeah.
And the woman who brought me to the cubby hole said, "Sure," and just walked away.
Oh my
Oh, no.
gosh. Again, that could be in a movie.
I know. She was
For real.
right.
Oh
Well,
my
you're in
gosh.
a really, really tough industry, right? Just
Yeah, it's
hyper competitive and
yes,
just it's crazy,
it
really.
is. I mean, on the
Yeah.
one hand, I'm crazy that I stayed this long. On the other hand, I guess it's impressive that I found new ways to reinvent myself. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that makes sense though with your theme, like starting over, starting over,
oh
starting
yeah.
over.
Oh my god,
So,
it's all
uh,
the moving.
it's all the
Yeah.
moving. It
Well, it's
just
Oh my
you
persistence
god.
pick
too.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely, and determination, let's
Yeah.
be real.
Do I have
Yeah.
to
But,
pay you at the end of this? This is better than any therapist I've ever met.
oh, that's funny.
That
So,
is
when
funny.
you were done with reality TV, were you in your 30s by that point?
No, no, I didn't start that until, so I had my son at 40 because we started trying to have him at 36, and I'm always like this crazy old lady in the house who's like, "You kids better freeze your eggs." I'm like, "What are you waiting for? Like, we're not even in a relationship." I'm like, "I don't care." Um, no, it's mostly the people, my friends who are married and they're young. I'm like, "What do you just,
Yeah.
if you want them, just get on with it.
Yeah.
Trust me."
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't have any regrets because I don't have anything in my bucket list, like, so there's that, but obviously
Right. Yeah.
miscarriages, whatever. So by the time I finally had my kid, 40, and I was still writing, and then, but I was running out of money. We were doing a short sale on our house, and the writer's strike had happened, and I had married a writer. It was like not good. So
How did you meet your ex-husband?
I was an early adopter of online dating. I'm glad you asked. Back
Mm.
when it was like
Which
weird.
which one?
I was on an app that I didn't realize was like a super sexual app. I thought it was just for interesting people. It was called nerve.com.
I haven't even
Nerve?
heard of that. I don't
It's
even
gone.
know.
It's gone. It shared an engine or whatever with The Onion and other smarty pants. So I thought it was like,
Oh,
oh, this
that's
is where
awesome.
the smarty
The
pants
Babylon
go.
Bee?
Yeah. And I couldn't understand why I
Yeah.
was getting so many dick pics. I'm like, what is wrong
Yeah.
with this app?
Sony fans now.
Yes. And
Or
that's
that
not
other
to
one. There's another
uh
one now that's just for hooking up, but I can't remember what
Tinder?
it's called. Maybe.
Tinder's
It might
actually
be.
become more of a relationship thing now. I think there's so
Yeah,
much
I don't
online
even
porn. I
know.
don't even think hooking up's happening anymore. It's just all
Yeah.
everything's over.
Yeah, I know.
That's
So,
the end
but
of the
so
podcast. Yeah.
you were, like, at the beginning
I was
of
at the
that
beginning.
whole
Yes. I
okay.
met my first real, yeah, I had two big relationships. All my relationships are from the internet. Even this show was from the internet. So I guess I have to thank it. You guys are from the internet for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we met there, and that's not to suggest he was on there for that reason. Well, maybe he was, I don't know. No, I don't think so. Anyway, it was very sweet, and we fell in love, whatever. What was this question? Oh,
How you
how we
guys met.
met. Yeah, that we met there, and
And so how long from the time you guys,
not
met
long.
to when you got married?
Yeah, not long. I was 35, so I was like chop
So
chop.
within a year.
Yeah, he's also, he likes to be married. He's a guy that likes to be, you know, he
Was he
likes,
married before you?
he was, yes. And
Okay.
so he was not one of these like commitment phobe dudes, I'd always gone in threes, like asshole, asshole, nice guy, asshole, asshole, nice guy. So he was like the nice guy after two assholes, and he was really nice. And yeah, so we got married and very fast, and then of course started to try and have babies very fast. And
Yeah.
this is what I try and explain to young people if you're listening. Miscarriages take a long time. You have to recover, and then you have to wait. And as the years go by, it's like, then I had
How long,
yeah.
I actually never had a
Oh,
miscarriage.
you're so lucky.
So I know. I do feel very, very lucky.
Yeah.
But how long do you have to wait after you had one to try again?
I don't remember the exact time, but it feels like it was a couple months or something. Like your body has to recover. I don't
Yeah.
recall. The real time suck though was they thought the reason I was having so many miscarriages was because of fibroid tumors. That's a sexy
Mm,
topic brought to you by fibroid tumors.
I've
Oh,
had them.
okay. Were yours
Yeah,
I know
painful?
about them.
You know
he
about
knows
them.
about them.
I
Yeah,
do, yeah.
yeah,
How
Feel
many
cultured.
yeah.
did you have painful ones? Were you like bleeding and
No,
stuff?
mine weren't bad at all.
Ah,
No, I was bleeding so bad. This was in I think this started in my mid-40s. I was bleeding so bad, I became anemic,
wow.
and it was my cramping was like labor pains,
Right.
and, it was affecting my life. Like, it got to the point where I couldn't go and participate in things with them because I was laying in bed,
Yeah.
and, I ended up having a hysterectomy.
Oh, wow.
I did, but I'd already had my kids.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
did I kept my ovaries,
Yeah.
but it freed me from the
Right.
bleeding and
Oh
everything,
my
so,
god. Yeah.
yeah. So you had it sounds like that was
I didn't have
affecting
any
your
symptoms.
fertility.
I had no symptoms.
Okay,
They did an ultrasound and they're like, "You have you're like most of your uterine cavity is blocked." So, like, wow. So they did the surgery, so that took almost a year to recover from that. That was a big
okay,
and then
because they went in and removed them, right?
they removed the tumors and it was like a C-section on steroids, you know? Did you have
Wow.
C-section or vaginal birth?
No, it was, with the robot,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, it was a whole thing. I only have, like, 4 little cuts that are maybe half an inch on my stomach, you wouldn't even know, and, so they and then they removed everything vaginally, I think.
Oh,
It was
wow.
with a robot. No,
Yeah,
it
more
was done in
laparoscopic, yeah.
laparoscopic, yeah, it
Yes.
was,
So
2020 I had it done.
Yep, I did there was something about mine where they were positioned, I don't know, and, it was a
So they had to cut you like a C-section?
yeah, that was that
Jeez.
and, you know, when you don't leave with a baby after that, that's not a fun recovery. That
Oh,
was
yeah, because you were in the hospital, what, like 3, 4 days?
I don't even know if it's that long, right? They like to kick you out and get the bed back, but it
That's true,
was
that's
yeah.
true.
yeah.
But that was the
But then
first
the
surgery.
recovery
Oh, the recovery was intense. So the
yeah,
C-section was actually nothing when I went back in, like, "This is child's play," but I also had a baby
right,
who was crying
right, right,
nonstop.
right. So once
Um,
you had the surgery and you recovered,
yeah.
then did you get pregnant?
Yep, and it was full term immediately, so it was
I'm
amazing.
Wow.
surprised. How long did it take you trying and having miscarriage before they finally did the ultrasound?
I mean, they may have done it I can't remember. They may have thought, like, it was a theory, it wasn't, like, 100%, you know? 'Cause I got
Yeah,
pregnant right away, as we've established. So, I was getting pregnant
yeah,
just but just losing it every
yeah, yeah.
I think I had 3 miscarriages, and after that, that's when
Yeah, so I wonder if they would have done the ultrasound and taken care of the fibroid sooner,
I don't
if
know.
that would I
Yeah.
don't know, yeah,
Then they
That
did
but
that,
blows me
like
away.
what was
That
that?
blows me away. That just blows me away that
Yeah.
to your point, how the hell do you not piece it together?
he's
Yeah.
always surprised that women's healthcare is ignored, and I'm always like, Dude,
Yeah.
that's just what we go through all the time with everything."
I've
Yeah.
been shit on too for my responses. It's being totally ignorant. I get
Yeah,
it. That
but
blows me away though.
Well, it's
if it was
amazing is you're just saying this, and I'm like, "Yeah, why didn't he do" I've never thought of that. I
yeah,
just kind of
because you're a
assumed
woman,
yeah.
if it was a fibroid blocking the man's penis, they
I'm
would've
starting to believe that.
yeah.
I've resisted it's because you're a woman. I'm starting to believe it.
It is.
No.
I'm telling you.
That's crazy.
Don't
Yeah.
even get me started on perimenopause and how no one talked to Gen X. We didn't know anything, and all of a sudden we're in perimenopause and we're having depression and brain fog and gain 20 pounds and I feel like we're going crazy. But God forbid anyone told us that can start at age 35
Yeah.
because none of our mothers talked about it.
Yeah. And plus
So
insurance
there's so many
companies.
women that are being treated for anxiety and depression that probably are in
Yeah,
perimenopause
yeah.
and could use some
Yeah.
hormone replacement therapy. So that's one thing I'm big on is Gen X women need to talk about it so that the younger women are prepared because we weren't.
Well, you will be happy to know I talk about my menopause on stage to people in their 20s, and I talk about
Nice.
how I do not that's a really crude joke. I'm just sometimes I end up having, like because I do the creams, the
Yes.
compound creams, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'll have them on my clothing, and I'll have to say, "This is not
Yeah.
what you think it
It's not this isn't
is.
splooge.
This is
It's
not a
testosterone
Monica
cream.
Lewinsky situation."
No.
It is the opposite.
Yes. Yes. Wouldn't it be exciting if it was? But let
Oh
me
my
tell you,
god. Yeah,
yeah.
no, that is
No.
not
That's
top of
great you talk
mind.
about it. That's
I
great
do,
you talk.
yeah. I love it. And I also talk about how, how we're all just sacks of chemicals, and the way I know this is because I overdid it one day with my testosterone, and
Mm.
I wanted to have sex with everything. I'd never had
Yeah.
that urge before. It was
Yeah.
I was, like, edging all day, and it was so uncomfortable, though, that the woman in me won out. Like, the woman was like, "No, we don't like this. Must
Yeah.
stop this," you know?
Balance back out, balance back
Yes,
out.
yeah,
Well,
we're
they say to only do it in the morning because it can keep you awake.
oh, the testosterone at night? Really?
You don't do it later in the day or at night because it gives you a like with men,
Right.
that's why they have a not just the sex drive, but just that, like, not aggressiveness, but you know what I mean? Like, just
Yeah,
that oomph.
yeah.
It's because it gives you that. So, they say do it in the morning. That's what I was told, and I asked why, and she said because it might keep you awake at night,
The oomph.
the
The
oomph.
oomph, the male oomph.
So,
Well,
yeah,
that's
I do that, and
I didn't know
I do the
that.
patch. Do you do the estrogen patch? I
No,
do the
I've been
patch.
doing these compound creams. I think I got caught up with, like, a very expensive Beverly Hills witch doctor and got
Mm.
completely, like, grandma Nigerian princed into this guy, and now I'm stuck with him and his magical creams. But he's retiring, and I am literally looking for somebody to, like, save me. I don't wanna not
Yeah.
have them, so I think I might
No,
do the
no.
patch. So but
Well, I'll tell you,
finding sorry, you go.
uh no, I was gonna say that, I get it through my OB. The OBs will do it.
I need a new OB, that's the problem, and I
Yeah.
am auditioning them right now, which is so fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun finding somebody new to take care of my lady parts.
Well, because
Brian, are
also
you
so
enjoying this part?
oh, he's
That's
used to it.
amazing, yeah.
He's used to it. So many OBs though,
I hear this
this
stuff.
is another complaint,
Yeah,
are just there's so few OBs focused on midlife for women. It's all still babies, babies. And so there's
right.
just those random ones that will focus on perimenopause, menopause, hormones, hysterectomies, all the things we like, not just you don't just get a hysterectomy midlife. I know younger women do too, but they need more OBs to focus on that because there's all of us Gen X ladies are in our midlife, and we don't need to be on the floor with the babies, or we're, like, being rushed in for 15 minutes because your doctor is seeing so many pregnant women, and they only have so much time.
Yeah.
So, now I actually see a nurse practitioner in the practice, and she can do all the same things the OB can, so look into that, a nurse practitioner in the p
Interesting.
medical
Yeah.
group or whatever, you know what I mean?
Okay, see, that's so funny. I just rejected somebody because I was sent to this office and then they were gonna meet with me. I'm like, "Wait, it's just the nurse?" No shade to nurses, but
Yeah. No, the
maybe
nurse practitioner is great. She can
yeah,
order all the same stuff.
yeah.
She prescribed the testosterone cream. I have an estrogen patch, and I take progesterone at night in a pill form, and that will knock you out. You will fall asleep. It's like
Well,
a natural sleeping pill.
I would really like to not have these mysterious white stains on my clothing. That would be
Yeah. You'd at least
nice.
have a little bit, just the testosterone. Do it in the morning, it absorbs,
Yeah.
and then
But
it's
it has
nice.
to be good for the bit, right?
Oh,
Little
it's a great
stain?
bit. And you know
Yeah.
what's funny about it? I'm always fascinated. I can't believe how many young men wanna hear about menopause. I'm like, "Really?" They find it really
That's
funny.
great.
I don't know what that
That's
is. I don't know if it's because 'cause they're kids of Gen Xers. I don't know, but I'm
Listen,
always
Interesting.
however you're getting the information out, you're doing the work. Keep doing it.
yeah, I even had this idea to embarrass them in a fun way where I would lean out with my microphone and, Tell me what you think menopause is." And they actually
Yeah.
knew. I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
Interesting.
I love that.
Yeah.
That gives me hope.
Yeah, but
That's
it is
awesome.
LA,
That's
it is
awesome.
LA, so this is the
That's
land
true.
of
You'll have to let us know and now that you're taking it on tour, which we're gonna get to, if you
yes.
find the men in other parts of the country are as
I
attuned
I don't think
as
they
in
will be.
LA,
I don't
but
think they will be.
so how long were you and your ex-husband together?
We were together all in 10 years. And yeah, yep.
And then you co-parented?
Yes. Yes, our son
Right.
was 7 and I have to say as a child of divorce, it was a bummer. Like I didn't want this, and I think well you guys kudos. Are your parents together?
His would still be. His dad had passed away in 2007, but they would have still been married.
Yeah, yeah.
So he comes from, like, this perfect family. Leave It to Beaver, traditional background, and I came from psychotic, 3 divorces on both parents,
Right, sorry,
remarried.
you told me that. Sorry,
Yeah,
yes.
no, no, half siblings, step siblings,
Yes.
all the craziness. So what's ironic is that we both wanted the same thing because I didn't have it and he did.
You
So as far
broke the
as raising kids,
cycle. What do you think the secret is that you were able to break the cycle?
determination, and we were best friends for 3 years before we got together, and
Mm,
that friendship, when life gets ugly
yeah.
and shitty, no matter what, we still were best friends. Even if I wanted to kill him in his sleep, I didn't because he was my best friend.
I
Oh,
survived a
So,
couple attempts.
he survived, but and there's times you hate each other, through the years, but it was that friendship. It was the
I
friendship.
I'm with you. I interesting. I feel like I was my most me in college, and I could see had I had the emotional wherewithal or parenting if I had grown up, I don't know, it I could have had a lasting relationship with somebody I met in college. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
Mhm.
there's a
Yeah.
familiarity that I think you guys have with each other when it's right that is so wonderful, and I've been looking for it my whole life, you know?
Yeah. I always tell and my kids know this, but I think it's so important to have friendship, like true friendship, like where you treat each other as best friends,
Yeah,
because you treat your best friend so well typically, right? Like you
yeah,
would never do really horrible things to your best friend.
yeah,
And so I always say you should be treating your spouse as well as you would treat your cherished best friend or better.
yeah.
And that's always my advice is to try to find that friendship. So what's funny is I dated his best friend through not best friend, very good friend through college. So it allowed us to become platonic friends through college. And then right
Oh,
before we graduated, we realized, "Oh, we love each other."
yeah.
Yeah.
It was that was nice. Your friend was the warm-up act, and then you came
Yeah,
in
He
yeah,
and
absolutely.
he
you
was
Yeah,
not happy about that.
oh
yeah.
dear. Was there crossover? There was some
No. But what's funny is when you have a group of friends in college, like half of them think there was. So they
sure.
turned on us and the
Yeah,
other half don't.
yeah,
And even when, like, Facebook came around and we
yeah.
all kinda reconnected with people we knew, and that group still I think they treated us like they didn't believe us, that
I
there was
think
still
which was
crossover.
shocking
It
to
was
us.
shocking 'cause by
Like,
then we
wait,
How
had
many
children
years?
and
Exactly, that's
exactly, yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
it
yeah,
was very strange. It was like so it was a big deal because my boyfriend and I were, like, the couple in the friend group,
Sure.
and then so then it was a big traumatic thing at the end of our college years together, I guess for everybody, I don't know.
Apparently
So,
a lifelong scar.
I
They're
guess
all in
yeah,
therapy talking about you guys still. How could they do that to us?
yeah, could be.
You never know, and then, one day, one of our shorts from the podcast is gonna come up on Facebook and
Oh,
be a jump
no.
scare for them, like, "Oh, there they
Exactly.
are.
Yeah,
Cheers."
they're
Yeah,
happy marriage. Why you oughta it is so funny to me now
yeah,
as an adult who's, as I like to say, seen some shit. That's our age, we've seen some
Yes.
shit. The idea of
Yeah.
being upset about, like, cheating with a boyfriend,
Yeah.
I'm like, "That it's not
No.
that's not
No.
cheating."
No.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. No, not
It's
at all.
yeah.
Not at all. It's so funny.
So that is funny
So you
because
guys,
yeah,
when
sorry.
you separated, though, it was amicable and you've been able to co-parent together and everything's good?
We had a tough time in the beginning, and, yeah, I think he was, yeah, he was very hurt, and I still feel horrible about it to this day. I never wanted to hurt him. It's
Yeah.
really hard when one person wants the thing and the other doesn't. But I think he would probably agree at this point. I don't know that we were really the right people for each other, you know?
Yeah.
But I also have no regrets. I know it sounds cliche, but we have this beautiful son together, and
Yeah.
it
mhm.
has been 8 years, and we are very good co-parents now. But it was a challenge at first, and
I'm sure.
yeah. What's weird is I know people who and nothing even interesting happened. It's not there's no cheating, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
know people with the craziest, most toxic stories, and they are best friends with like I think it almost helps to have like a bad guy, like something to point to.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I'm like, you forgave them? I mean, that's
Right.
cool, but like, it's just
It's
interesting.
almost like they trauma bonded or something.
Yes, and they triangulate.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, that person," but
Yeah. Yeah, it's so they couldn't totally separate because 'cause they're trauma bonded, but for you guys,
yes.
there wasn't that trauma, so
Yeah.
you just kinda can drift
Yeah.
you just kinda drifted.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad that now you guys have
Now
found
it's
some
good. Yeah. And our kid's
even
amazing and he's a great dad. And yeah, I mean, I don't
that's
recommend
good.
divorce. It's not fun.
No, I know. I know. No, it's amazing how many Gen Xers a have divorced or are divorcing now midlife.
Yeah. Well, I hope
It's
so. Just kidding. I'm
yeah.
not here to
Yeah.
celebrate. I am not here to dance on the grave of divorce. I just want to be clear.
Well, we've talked about just the whole, also Gen X we've talked about Gen X men, emotional development, communication, but I think so many of us as children grinded through.
Yeah.
Our emotions were not acknowledged, discussed. We didn't know how to identify what we were feeling. Um, and then we got married. And
Yeah.
so it's a wonder that any of them have survived, any
Yeah.
of the marriages, because right now we say we grew up together. And that's when I say determination, because there were times when, because of not having that preparation of how to communicate, it was just almost like, we're going to communicate. I don't know how, but we got to figure this out. No one taught us. So, but it's not easy at all.
No, and for listener viewers who just heard me say I'm not here to dance on divorce's graves, I just want to be clear. I was talking about my business, my of the big D. Like if divorce
Yeah.
Yeah.
stops, I don't have a show. But I was joking. I just want to put that in context. Now I'm going to come back to what you were saying because the little voice, the publicist in my head was like, "You
Yeah.
need to button that one up." No, I was going to say there was this one book that I do recommend to couples who are struggling. It just brings clarity, and I think it's called Hold Me Tight.
Mm,
And we did all the therapy. We tried. Like that's the other thing I think. It's not like what if we like we really tried, you know?
yeah.
But that book had this one metaphor, this one thing in there. And anytime I have friends who are struggling and wondering, I mean, this image, and I feel like couples like you, it's a very easy answer. And it's just, are you both on the dance floor? If you're both on the
Mm,
dance floor, you can accomplish anything. But
yeah.
when somebody's left the dance floor,
Yeah.
That's a great analogy,
No, it
really.
is. It is.
yeah,
Even if you're fighting on the dance floor, you're both there.
exactly. You are
Yeah,
Yeah.
engaged,
yeah,
you are invested.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah.
I get chills thinking about it because I
Yeah.
knew I had left the dance floor.
Well,
It's
some
so true. You
yeah.
hope you both have to commit to trying to make it work and figure it out
Yeah,
and be committed to it. It's to her point though, it's, I mean, I feel very lucky. I think we both do. But, you do work at it
of
and you have
course.
to evolve,
Yeah,
especially guys, right? Gen X guys that were fairly obtuse, I think, and you just have to, I don't know, somehow you evolve. And I think maybe it's through kids. You had said something earlier where um, I think you've learned about yourself. It was the ADHD thing, right?
ADHD. Yeah.
Yeah, your son, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I see myself in him." You kinda see yourself in your kids, and that helps, I think, kinda keep it all together. I don't
Yeah.
know if that makes sense or not, but
Well, I think us
No, it
coming from
does.
school, from when we're young
Yeah.
and having such history and are so vetted, like,
yeah,
we don't have to explain anything about our past to each other. That does help. So to your point, when you said you could have seen yourself in a long-term relationship from college, I mean, yeah,
that
it
makes
it
sense.
does make
Yeah.
Yeah.
sense
And
because
my
you're in that
2
that space you're in.
yeah, and my 2 of my best friends out here, I love when people are like, "Who's really happily married?" I'm like, "I know happily married people. I'm not anti-marriage. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pro marrying the right person." But,
Yeah.
these 2 friends of mine are both college sweethearts as well, or 2 couples, and I know that that's not pr but they're supposed to be together, you know? They're
Yeah,
both on
yeah,
the dance
yeah.
floor. But,
Yeah,
it wa
exactly. I
yeah.
love that metaphor.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
too.
And remember that.
not mine, it is trademarked, Hold Me Tight, great book, it's a whole workshop. Um, but I will tell you, kind of funny, sad, mostly funny, note about the American boyfriend that came to Italy, you
Mhm.
know? He was the one for me that got away, and I
Mm,
regret it. We didn't really know each other, but in my mind, his over the years always became, "If only, if only." So I did
yeah.
that thing that everyone does on Facebook, right? I, like, found him, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this is gonna be the thing," you know? And I wrote
Yeah.
him, and all I said I'm just clearly fishing, right? And I'm like, "How's it going?" or something, and he said, "Oh, Julie, you never change." And that was the last I heard from him. I'm like, "What the fuck does
Oh,
that mean?"
oh my god.
I mean,
That's crazy.
forget about being hurt. I need to know what's in the
Right.
box, you know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah.
did you mean by that? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
you're
Yeah.
probably
Oh,
right, but can you explain
yeah.
that to me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. That's too much.
It
That's
is.
too much. Okay, so when did you get into comedy?
Okay,
Like,
so
were you still married, or was this post to
no, in
po
fact,
okay.
my ex-husband was into comedy, I think right before our son was born. So I used to go around to see him performing and,
Oh, okay. So he wa you said he was a writer too, right?
yeah. I mean, he was trying out comedy, you know what I mean? It
Okay.
hadn't, yeah. So I just remember being exhausted and not wanting to go to these late shows anymore every time I went to go see him perform. But anyway, I I don't know. I've always been funny my whole life, but I would see him, I would see other people doing comedy. I'm like, I should do that. And then I just the years. I don't know about you guys. Just like as soon as you have a kid, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know where it went, but then we split up, and it wasn't even then. I kept filling the void, an unfortunate metaphor, with boyfriends when I left the marriage. And I really wasn't finding myself. I was avoiding the pain of the divorce. And there's no good way to do it. I'm not shaming anybody who does it. You just there's no way through but through and time. And then when the time had gotten to a good place, and reality TV had shit the bed, which again, I don't know how much of this you know. Hollywood is like over. Do you know about this? Like,
No.
Well,
okay,
I've read a little bit about it. I'd be curious of what your
Yeah,
take is.
what is that?
well, I mean, there's the reality side and there's the scripted side, and the shortest version is streaming didn't work. Right? So it's like there are too many streamers. Like how many, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? How many do you even care about any shows anymore? Like there's so many good shows that you almost don't care about them, right? So it
Yeah.
it ate itself.
Yep.
And
Yes.
they claimed they weren't making money. I imagine they weren't, but then again, the writer's strike was like, they are making money, they're not paying us enough. So I don't want to get into that side necessarily. Like, I'm sure they're not getting paid enough, writers, but I think the business model was not working, and there was a bubble basically. And
Mhm.
so it affected both scripted and unscripted, and all the networks started to merge, and companies were getting, slashed and like they've just been trying to, like David Zaslav was brought in to take over Warner Discovery and just kind of he made HBO Max.
Yeah.
And the whole thinking of that was, I think he said, you'll be able to find anything from Succession to Dr. Pimple Popper. Like, oh no. But
Yeah.
it was I can't remember the number of how much debt he had to clear, but it became clear pretty quickly. It was like the producers, like it was easier to, even if a movie or TV show was done, it was easier for them not to put it out and to take the loss to recoup
Hmm.
money. So it was just, I don't know if you're Game of Thrones fans, but it was like Red
Yes.
Wedding. Okay, it was a Red Wedding in town, like just
Okay.
massive layoffs. So many people have left town. Writers' rooms have shrunk. Everybody thought reality would then balloon because of scripted, but it didn't because we're all, basically at the same teat, if you will, of the streamers. So it just
Mhm.
the business doesn't work anymore, the business model. And so as it rebirths itself, there have been so many financial casualties for almost everyone I know. Um,
Hmm.
and that was a very lofty way of saying everyone I know is out of work. So work started to
Wow.
slow
Well, it's
down. Yeah.
well, I was just gonna say a lot of it's left LA too, right? It's moved on to
Then there's that as well.
other
Yes.
areas. Yeah.
Because there's been no tax incentives. I think I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
read that maybe it's back. I don't know. I think the whole business is just going to become peer-to-peer YouTube. Like you look at how our kids consume material.
Yep.
Like I just
Yeah.
don't even think we can conceive of what it's going to look like in the end. But it's
I think that, so like social media, like TikTok has taken a huge chunk. Like, I know for myself, I'll just go on TikTok at night and not watch TV. And
oh
I know a lot of people like that, that won't even turn on the
I'm a
TV.
YouTuber.
And
yeah
yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that reality TV, I guess, quote unquote, where it's actually people, like regular people, you know what I mean?
yeah
Watching regular people. I think that's taken a chunk out of things. I could be wrong,
no, I
but
think you're right. I mean, like on did I make that worse or better? I'm
No,
trying.
you're good.
no,
Okay.
you're fine.
You're good.
Like there's an ad for Jimmy Fallon, it was like 3 billion views. It's all about who's watching it, the monologue the next day and the bits the next day.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
everything's changed for all of us. And, but I watched my son and like I was like, "Oh, 28 days later, maybe you're old enough to see that now." He's like, "I saw it." I said, "Where?" He said, "YouTube." I'm like, "What? Like, when
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
you Okay, well it's a great movie. You
Yeah.
need to see anyway." But and I think for people not in the business, they're like, "But there's so much stuff." But if you notice, it's there really isn't anymore. Like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff stopped being like we're watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now, like old seasons of it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are watching, like, older shows.
Yes, because that is by
Yeah.
design. That's how Netflix is
Yeah.
like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you might like this series," because
Yeah.
they're trying to avoid making other series.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That makes sense.
so it's a
I
pretty
have a question for
yes.
you. Have you ever done any, like, made your own film, like a short film? You mentioned the 16 millimeter back in the
Yeah.
day.
No,
Technology's pretty good these days.
Brian, I agree, and I kick myself all the time because there is no excuse to not make my own thing.
Well,
Um,
time, other thing, you know.
no, 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 but it is true. I mean, now more than ever, you can make an entire movie on your phone.
Yeah.
So you're reminding me of a goal that I dropped, and I'm going to get back to it tomorrow. So you just saw my entire soul disappearing from my
Well,
body.
I'm in the same boat. I wanna do something. I have no background or anything in it, but I would love to because it is
What is
sort
it?
of accessible. I don't have a theme. That's my problem. I know all the technical attributes of it, pre, post, everything, but I don't have a story,
You mean you want to
if that
direct a
makes sense.
film?
Yeah, like, I'd love to make a film, like
Yes,
a short film, 5, 10-minute
got
type
it.
of thing. I don't really have a theme, though.
It'll come.
Yeah.
Well, to answer your question, yes, writing is horrible and painful, and nobody likes it. And that is why I am not directing a movie right now. But it is
Yeah.
in my mind to just finally sit down and do it.
If you do it, you have to let us know,
Oh, of course. You'll be the first one I'll
Come back
please.
and
complain
tell us.
to. Yes.
Yeah, come on and talk about it. That would be
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
So because of what was going on in Hollywood, did that lead you to
Yes.
comedy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that and my mom was dying. So it's always strange. I love when I meet guys online and they're like, "Oh, you're a comic. How'd you get into that?" I'm like, don't, it's not good. Like, nobody becomes a comic because of like a good story. You're not going to like
Right.
this.
Yeah.
They're like, "That's not sexy." Okay. No, it's not. My mom died. Um, okay.
How did your
So
mom die
yeah,
lead to that?
yeah. So what was I saying?
About your mom
Yeah,
when
so
she died?
she never stood a chance. I don't know about your mom, but it's like, I have a whole thing about this too. It's like there was no time for gentle parenting then. Like they were
Right.
surviving, and she
Yeah.
was a child of trauma, and it just I have forgiven her for every whatever, because I'm just so aware of what she lived through,
Yeah.
uh, and we wouldn't be this way had we not had that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's pros and cons.
yeah,
Definitely pros and
yeah.
cons.
I mean, look, I wish I did. Yeah, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Anyway, so yes, so we were very close, very codependent, but also, well, I moved 3,000 miles. She's in Chicago. I'm in LA. Like, there's stuff. And
Yeah.
then she got sick. And, it's very hard to show up and care for somebody that you have to protect yourself around, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
So she had cancer. It was, I can't remember the name of it, CUPS, which is cancer of unknown origin.
Oh, wow. I've never
15% of all cancers are considered cancers. They can't figure it out. And then like
Wow.
7%, they finally just go under and they just look at where the tumors are and they just treat it as if. So she basically was
So, like,
treated.
it's metastasized already and they're not sure where the source is. Okay, that
Correct.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, so that was about a year and a half of her going through that. And I just had to show up and be there, but not really be there, like gray
Mhm.
rocking. Do you ever talk about gray rocking on your show?
No, what's gray rocking?
So gray rocking is, I don't know, it's one of the 8 million trends they talk about online. But it's if you have somebody like that in your life, but you don't want to not be in their lives, it's a way to show up and be there, but not really be there. I don't know. It's hard to,
So you kind of have a protective
yeah,
boundary around you, and you
yes,
don't really emotionally and mentally connect to What, like, you don't empathize completely and put yourself in their shoes and connect and completely immerse yourself in the experience, but you're there physically?
Yeah, but you try and be there. You're still pleasant to be around. You don't
Yeah.
engage. You don't take the bait, really, is the
Right,
Yeah.
okay,
layman's
okay.
terms.
We
And
did, you could explain it better than I'll just butcher it, but we've talked about that where children who have this,
Yeah,
relationship.
we talked well, what we talked about was, a lot of Gen Xers are having to care for their elder parents, and a lot of those elder parents are the source of their childhood trauma.
Yeah,
And the and it can, if you haven't had a chance yet to totally resolve your childhood trauma, or even if you have, it can re-trigger. Even if you've gone through all the healing work, you can still be re-triggered right back into that space again. Or if you haven't dealt with it or impacted, you're right back in that space when you were 10 years old. And so the struggle of having to care for this person that caused you pain. A lot of Gen
yes,
Xers are going through that right now.
so that's so interesting. And also, I think that's why how I found you. I think I saw maybe a clip of you talking
Was
about
that
that
it?
because you said that, and I just got chills. I'm like, right.
That must have
yeah.
been the short that
Yes.
when you reached out to us.
That
Yes.
resonated for
Yeah,
a lot of people
yeah,
our age.
Because you feel
lot.
less alone. You feel whole guilty. You know, your parents
Yeah,
sick and
that's
you're
what it was. I
angry
think
at
a lot of
them.
guilt and people were like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm not alone in
A
that
lot of
sense."
people
Yeah.
Yeah.
said, "I thought I was the only one that felt this way." And then
Yeah.
there's tens of thousands of people that are like, "No, I feel this way too."
There's a lot of people too, though, where that were like, "Fuck them. I don't care. They
Yeah.
caused me trauma.
Yeah.
I'm no contact for the last 10 years. They can die alone."
At least half the
It's
people that
very interesting,
yeah,
Yeah.
extremely visceral.
yeah,
I wonder how those
yep,
people are doing because I found I was in like a horribly toxic relationship with this guy who gave me tons of material. He's in my first set. So this is the other question. So the other thing is I was in a bad relationship romantically. Great sex, of course. Great sex, bad people. Always a great combination. Anyway,
yep.
he was hot. Okay, so and it's I've come a long way because I could see those guitars. I'm not triggered. He was a guitarist. I'm fine. I'm
Oh, okay, there
totally
you go.
fine. Yeah. Um, so
Just don't rub too much of your patch on
yeah,
there
exactly.
and
And then
for the
yeah.
screen, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then she lost it. Um, and so I'm with him, she's sick, and he said to actually this was before she even got sick, because he knew about her. He said, I'm really worried about you that you're gonna lose your mom and you're not gonna have forgiven her and you'll never be able to forgive yourself. And I want you to do this for you.
Yeah,
And if that was the reason that fool came into my life, great, because
Yeah,
I did start working on it and I did start, it was maybe less gray rocking. I was able to actually be there, but I was still, the dangler fish, the
mhm.
light, I was not
yeah,
gonna, you know.
yeah.
Um, and then she got sick, and I remember calling him crying. I'm like, oh my God, my mom has cancer. And he's like, what? And I said, but I'm so glad that I'm just remembering this now. I said, I'm so glad you had me on this path because when she told me I was able to cry, I was so sad about losing her. So I actually was in a
Mhm.
really good emotional position with my mom when it started, but
Yeah.
then things would happen. So I guess it's too late to say long story short, but I had avoided getting super engaged with her and anything, and then there was this fight was so important because this is what led to comedy. So I was with her, and I guess every Gen X parent who talked about this will love this story. She's, on her deathbed. I mean, it took a while, but she was still on the bed that she would soon be, whatever. That doesn't sound
Yeah.
right. Okay. And she says to me out of nowhere, I I don't know what I, I don't know what I did so wrong when you were a little child. Like basically I thought, oh my God, she's apologizing to me for everything
Right.
she ever did wrong. It's happening.
Yeah.
And then she finished the thought and said, for you to have such horrible taste in men.
Oh my goodness.
And and
Oh
I had
my gosh.
yeah, and I had broken up with Guitar Man, who I knew was
Yeah.
bad and have so much shame around that. I said, Mom, don't do this, don't do that. And she just was, and I think,
Oh,
it's a
man.
familiar, she was excited probably on some subconscious level, and then we're just yelling at each other and like, don't do this, don't. Then I go in the other room and I'm sobbing uncontrollably. And my stepdad comes in, he's like, why are you crying? And I had said it, and he said, you know your mom. She's always been emotionally distant with you. That is the first time I'd ever heard that
Oh
before.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
I'm like, what?
Wow.
You never said that
Wow.
before? Anyway, I had it in my mind. I'm like, well, I've been with her for a long time through this sickness, and this is probably the last time I'm going to see her because I can't. This cut deep, and I have to protect myself. And I had seen this comedy teacher. Shout out, right? Leslie Wolf, amazing comedy teacher. If you ever want to
Mm.
take stand up comedy, it's all on Zoom. You can do it. It's incredible. It's therapy. It's amazing. Okay, there. I had to say that because,
Leslie Wolf. We can also probably
Yeah, send the links, we'll
yeah,
post
well,
them in
any
there.
links you
okay,
want to
Yeah,
anyone, we'll put it in the description.
yeah, I recommend everyone do this. I don't care if you don't want to be a comic. It's an amazing experience. So I'd been seeing her workshops, her showcases with friends of mine over the years. I'm going to do that. And all of a sudden, 10 years goes by, and I see that one is starting the next day. And I'm like, I'm doing this, my truth. I'm going to burn everything to the ground. Everyone's going to know. And,
mm,
and then I got home and I calmed down and I called her and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I haven't worked in a while. I don't have the money for this. And I'm really raw with I can't do this. I don't even think I mentioned my mom. And she said, I know this is going to sound suspicious, right? Like she's looking to close the deal. It wasn't, I swear to you. She called me back. She said, I will give you a deal on this. I can tell you need this class. And she was right. And I started that night and I did burn it down on that first Zoom call with everyone. And they're all laughing and crying, like, this is gold. This is incredible. You're so lucky. I'm like, I'm so lucky. That's what a comic
Yeah.
says. And then my mom went into hospice the following Monday. And I was like, oh shit, I have to start a whole new set. So I drove out there and it was like rebooted us, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm here again. And anyway, it was just this weird blessing. I mean, I don't like the word blessing, but I started to rewrite everything and realize that I am more than the stories of me and my mom. And everything I wrote had nothing to do with her. In the beginning, had everything to do with her, but nothing to do with her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was able to show up and be like emotionally vulnerable with her and be with her and forgive her. I'm going to start crying, thinking about like compassion because I had this thing. And I was just talking to friends about this. They said, because you finally felt heard and seen. Like I'd always
Yes.
had this fantasy of a jury hearing me as a child. Like, can you believe what I'm putting up with? And then I finally had it on that Zoom call,
yeah.
and
You were validated.
they're just like, yes, and they were
Yeah.
all, they were very disappointed when I dropped that set. I'm like,
But you were validated, like you said, you were
yeah,
the child in you was finally seen and acknowledged and
and not by
validated.
her. That's where we all go wrong, right? We
Right.
Yeah,
cannot
yeah.
wait for them. We
No.
can only forgive them once we stop.
You went and found your own closure.
Yes.
But did
Yes.
it come from your stepfather saying those words?
No, it came from the Zoom call, the
Yeah.
where
No,
she
but I mean, it was the catalyst, him
oh,
kinda
I think it
acknowledging
was.
and validating it, right? Your
Yes.
mom's always been emotionally distant. Where the hell have you
oh,
been,
he
dude?
put words to
That's what I'm saying,
like,
yeah.
you were probably
Yeah.
always wondering, "What is it? What is it?" And then he put the words to what it
I
was.
didn't feel crazy in that moment. I thought he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
coming in to shame me about tears, which he was a little bit because that generation, they're like, we don't cry around here. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Just,
yeah,
yeah,
just
yeah.
quiet. Shove that down.
Yeah. Bury it,
Uh,
bury it.
Bury it. So it was a shock that he said that. I was like,
yeah.
what? You're right. Yeah. It
It's
was,
almost like you were gaslit, like, I think a lot of Gen
yes,
Xers were gaslit through their childhood,
totally.
like, what where you're not feeling that way, like, what are they or made fun of for being dramatic or all
Yes.
that stuff when, we were gaslit for all of our lives, and then finally when we're not and we're validated and we're not told we don't feel crazy, like,
Yeah.
we're not crazy, it's like, "Wow,
Yeah.
I'm not crazy,"
Yeah.
and that's
That's
what
what
that was
happened.
for you.
Yeah. You're right. That's what
You
it
had that
was.
closure. So then from there, did you just like, how did you decide, "Okay, I'm gonna do stand-up and
Yeah, it was a
comedy?"
4-week class, and my secret plan was I'm not performing. I'm just going to do the classes. This woman's crazy if she thinks I'm getting on stage. She doesn't, I'm just going to do these classes and be done with this. And then it's 4 weeks and then you perform right away. And that's one of the things I love about her class. You go on the main stage at Flappers, a really good club here in Burbank. So you don't have time to like, you're getting shoved out of the plane. It's an
Yeah.
incredible like growth thing that happens. And she really works with you on your personal story. It's not like set up punch. And so it's very therapeutic, her class. But as the performance time is getting closer, I was like, I think I am doing this. Oh shit, and I was petrified. But I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell them for months, and it felt so empowering that I had this secret life out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I showed up that night and Leslie was there and she's like, This is crazy. You should be working all the time. You're natural." And she's like, Trust me, you're going to be addicted the moment you do this." And she was right. Like, my foot hit the stage. It was like, just like electricity and light. And it was amazing. And I was completely hooked. If they had a cane, they probably would have had to pull me off stage, because I
Mm.
totally ran the light. It's like, and another thing, and and yeah, I was like, okay, when do I go again? And it just has been nonstop since. And I think it is the Gen X thing. It's like, all right, we're gonna
Yeah.
do this. We're gonna crack this nut. I don't even. It's insane, but I'm gonna do it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah. So when was that?
My 2-year comedy anniversary will be this October.
So how old were you when you went on that stage?
I was 53.
So I think that's
That's
such
cool.
a great example of we're never done, Gen
No.
X especially.
Yep.
We are always going to live life and tackle it no matter how old we are.
Yep.
There is no, well, I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s, I'm in my 70s. I think Gen X is going to go down fighting and living and taking on new experiences and challenging ourselves. I think a lot of it does come from the grind of our childhood. And that's the pro of how we were raised because I don't think any other generation is aged like we are. And I think you're such a beautiful example of that.
Oh my God, thank you. Can you guys adopt me? Is that weird? No?
No, honestly though, because
That's so
when we were
beautiful
raised,
what you said, by
no,
the way. I just
y-
want to stop and say that. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
no, but it's true. I think when we were growing up, we thought by the time you hit 50, like it's done. Like it's done. Where you just now you go into your older years and
Yeah.
but no, that's where Gen X is actually probably starting to live their biggest dreams. And I
Yeah.
think we should be an inspiration for the younger generations to say, because some of these younger generations think your 30s is old. And I keep saying, you guys don't even know. You don't know anything yet. But just wait till you hit. I found 50 very liberating, but I think you're just such a great example of what Gen X is doing.
Thank you.
I
I
mean, look what
feel,
you've done in 2 years.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's remarkable.
You've
Really cool.
reinvented your entire life again, but this time it's 100% on your terms,
Yes.
and it's coming from such a place of you're really standing in a healthy place on your 2 feet, a solid foundation, um, and you probably are your most authentic self, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah,
All that. It's
it's
so
Do you
awesome.
feel
interesting.
reinvigorated
Oh my
in a
God.
sense?
When
Yeah.
I hear, I am never bored. I am never depressed anymore. I might get anxious, but
Mhm.
I know I do have a lot of friends who have not found this thing, whatever it is for them, and I feel bad for them because I don't, but I just I could do this to the grave. I'll be doing this in senior citizens home. You know what I mean? Like, it is
Mhm.
Yeah, it's awesome.
incredible, and you can be broke and you can do it. You can do this. Nobody can stop you from doing comedy. It's
Yeah,
amazing. And I do want to say the young thing is hilarious because I'm friends with so many young comics. And it's so funny when they get up there and like, I just turned 30. I'm really feeling my age. Or I'm the ones I kind of have to give a little slack to. It's like I'm turning
mhm,
40 and I'm like, I know you think it's old. It's not, but it
no.
is. It's the beginning of old. Like, your body's changing for sure. Your eggs
Yes,
are
Yeah.
dead or whatever,
especially if you're a woman. Yeah,
Yes.
if you're a woman, the perimenopause and
Yes.
menopause and all that. Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
But the 30 year
Yeah,
olds, I'm like, you're a zygote. Like, you are not what you're,
yeah. They
but they
don't
don't
know.
know. They don't know. And I
They
don't
don't
know
know.
how to help them. Like, one of my
No,
closest friends is 30, and I'm like, dude, you're so good. Like, you're fine. Just,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
man. You've
Well,
got this.
I think what's hard for them with social media is there's so much FOMO and so much comparison,
Yes.
and, comparison's the thief of joy,
Yeah.
and I think that when they all think they're supposed to be doing that, and even when they accomplish something, then in an hour, they could see somebody doing something better, and they're like, oh, but my thing isn't as good as that. Now I gotta they're always having to chase and probably never feel satisfied or content with their accomplishments because social media and most of that's fake.
Yeah,
Most of it's not real,
Performative.
and it's performative, but I don't think they still understand that fully,
I'm
and
sucked
I
into it. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, we can all, we all have to take a moment, remind ourselves that it's performative,
Yes.
but I think for the younger generations, I really feel bad for them
Oh, I do
because I
too.
think it takes a lot longer for them to feel, like, proud of what they're doing,
Yeah,
you
and is
know?
there any joy in anything if it's not being recorded and posted? Like, that's so
Yeah,
awful to me. That's what I'm my
Yeah.
son actually, here's the good news. My son, not on social media, thank God. He's always
that's great.
complaining that I'm filming too much.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
that's new. That's from this comedy thing. Like, it was not me
yeah,
before, but I do have to be careful because I'm like, "Oh, can I no, mom,"
yeah,
He's
yeah,
he's
I have
like,
that's
a
great.
question. I have a
yeah.
clarifying question, I guess. So that first night you went out by yourself
Yeah.
and did stand up
Yes.
in front of a crowd.
Sorry, yes, and before you think I'm super badass, it's a class, you're friends with all your classmates, it is the warmest audience, but it was terrifying, I was
Yeah.
shitting myself, yes, but I had
Yeah, yeah,
friends
yeah.
Yeah,
there, I had my friend Amy there.
yeah,
Yep.
I mean, that in fact, if you
No,
had
but
to
that's some pressure.
oh,
There's some
it was the
yeah.
scariest day of my life, I just wanna be clear,
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
I was evacuated from the airport at 9/11, so this was scarier than that. This
Yeah.
was like,
yeah,
"Oh, I'm gonna die. Okay, cool. I'm dying tonight. This is fun."
'Cause you're hoping for laughs, right? That's the whole game. You're hoping that people it resonates and people laugh and clap at the end.
Yes, I think that first time though, you're just like,
Get through it.
get through you're like, "Am I gonna remember anything?
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Am I gonna be shaking so hard they'll see how nervous I am? Am I
mhm,
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
embarrass myself in front of everyone?" And it was probably the best set of my life that will ever happen. That first set, if you have a
Yeah.
great first set, you'll never be that I didn't know other comics at that point, you know what I mean? I didn't have anything to compare it
Yeah, yeah.
to, and it
yeah,
is, they call it a hot room, it's a warm room, like, everybody's there to support you and laugh, so it was
yeah.
incredible. But yeah, I was terrified. I
Did you have
recommend
an
that for
experience?
everyone. Say that again.
What about your first experience when it wasn't the warm room
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
out
Oh,
there now
yeah. Yeah, the bombing. Yeah, that's was horrible. That early on, you think, "Oh, well, I'm delusional, I should never do this again," all or nothing
Mm,
thinking.
Mhm.
And then I would say I've been fortunate enough, but I'm again, the Gen X, I'm very good at like finding mentors and finding people and researching it, so I actually reached out to so I had some people that I had kind of befriended, and they hooked me up with this comic and it was this very established comic and it's funny, I had just gone up the night before and bombed and I was doing so well before that and I was I went in with a whole new set I hadn't even tried out in a mic. I didn't know
Mhm.
and it doesn't work like that, and I'd only been doing it a couple months and I completely was like, "What?" Um, I don't know, maybe this is too in the weeds, but I mentioned it to her. She's like, "What are you doing a new set? You just started. Like, you got to just get used
Yeah.
to the stage. You got to like
yeah,
just do your set. If you maybe add a new little nugget within your set, but you need to know where to get back on. And if you bomb this early on, you're gonna get in your head, think I'm not funny, and you're not gonna know where to get back on." I said, "Oh my God, that's what happens." So you start to learn like, oh,
yeah,
this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
part of it, And I met this and now it's not fun to bomb, but I feel like it's not even bombing now. I look at it more as, okay, I didn't communicate correctly with the crowd. What went wrong? How much of that was them? How
Yeah,
much of that
yeah.
was me? What jokes need to get better? So the longer I
mhm,
do it, and my friends, I have very good friends. We have a support system, where we talk each other off the I suck ledge. Um, Also, it's a drug. So then you go back and have an amazing set the next night. You're like, I
Yeah,
am
yeah.
God, So it's like it's
but what
crazy.
What growth? I mean, I always say as we get older, we should try to always be making ourselves feel uncomfortable because I think through that comes growth. And it keeps our brains on it keeps our brains growing and strong and we keeps us on our toes. And so what you're doing, it's almost like every night you are
Yes.
experiencing some form of growth because you don't know what your crowd is going to be. You don't
Yeah.
know what's going to come your way. So you're just having such this beautifully fluid growing experience every night you go out there. It's awesome. So
It's
cool.
truly magical thing. Yeah, I get so excited as I take the stage. It's like, this is my happy place, you know?
That's
And
amazing. So did you do,
That's awesome.
yeah.
stand up? Like, so when did you create the Big D dating show? So how long did you just do
Well,
stand up?
real quick,
Yeah.
tell us what is the Big D dating show?
Oh,
Well, yeah.
yes, it is not
Yes.
what you think, but I did name it that to get men to laugh when I gave them flyers on the street, and it does work.
We're
Uh,
simple.
yes, you are. It's okay, and I love that about you.
Yeah, everybody thinks we're complex. We're real
Yeah.
simple.
I don't think they think that, Brian. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm
I
totally
agree.
joking. Uh, so it's called The Big D, and the D is for divorce, and it is a comedy
Mm,
matchmaking show for divorced singles. And the way the show works is I have a panel of comics, and myself as the host, and then I for about a month I cast, and by cast I mean find real people, not actors or actresses. I find 3 men, 3 women. Ideally, they're all divorced. Got to stay on brand. But also because I started this as a single divorced mom, like I just felt like as I was swiping on the apps, like I was always looking very clearly for a divorced parent. Like it, what if I just created a place where that was who showed up, you know? And also there are all these like, I don't know how much this you guys know, so if I'm telling you something you know, whatever, but there are a lot of dating comedy shows in LA, but they're for the
mm,
kids. They're young, and it's
Mhm.
very much like, and I love talking to people my age. It's like the Gong Show. You know,
okay.
that's such a good analogy, and
Yes.
when that gets lost on my 30-year-old friend, Stephen
Yeah.
Cha, I'm just gonna say this so I can clip this out to him. It bums me out, Stephen, because it's a really good reference. Okay, anyway, he now mentions the Gong Show.
Gong Show's
Um,
legendary.
It is.
deep cut. But, it's like mean-spirited, put freaks on stage, laugh at them,
Yeah.
like, I never
Mhm.
liked that
Yeah.
even as a kid. I'm like, "This is making me sad." So, there's a lot of that comedy out here, and I actually got roped into doing one for a friend of mine, and it's a very successful comedy show. It is no shade to his show, but as soon as I watched the video after I said yes, I was like, "Oh, no." I'm like, nah, ba, ba, ja," and I did it and it was fine. But I remember thinking, there's got to be a version of this for us. And that's
Yeah.
actually really heartfelt and taps into my love of interviewing people from when I was a reality producer and comedy. And I've always matchmade. I have always connected people. Malcolm Gladwell talks about connectors. I love connecting folks. And
Mhm.
anyway, I'd been doing comedy for a year. And I'd already been producing another show with a friend of mine. And basically, it's so crowded in LA as comics, and it's almost impossible to get into the big 3, you have to get past. So you kind of have to produce shows to ensure that you get stage time once a month, and then you ingratiate yourself or endear yourself with other comics, and they put you on it's a community building thing,
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
and you get your reps in. Like the only way you get better is rep, rep, rep. Um, and so I'd already kind of gotten my producing chops. Like I wasn't scared of that anymore, but it was pretty crazy a year into doing this. West Side Comedy Theater, great place, Santa Monica, shout out. They put a little ad up that said, "Got a new show idea?" And I don't, is this Gen X? I love trying to sell things. I just love being ballsy and go, well, what about this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
you can't even cash that check, but you're just like, how about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Fake it till you make it.
Right. And so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, well, how about a divorce matchmaking show? I literally just said what it is here. And he wrote back, he's like, I love it. Can you have it ready in a month up on its feet? I was like,
Sure.
Wow.
but I said, sure,
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
not
See you
going
in
to
4 weeks.
fail. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I hyperventilated my way through up until opening night, and I got LA Times to do an article on it, and it was sold
Nice.
out, and it was incredible, and it was next level. It really was all my favorite things in one, and
Wow.
I knew there was something like you could feel it in the room.
Mhm.
I'm sure a lot of what you guys feel doing your podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yep,
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
it's just connection. It's
Yes.
incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it's why we love doing this.
I can
We lo
tell. Yeah.
we love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Well, good, I'm glad you are feeling that because we
It may
genuinely
sound corny,
yeah.
but it's just an honor for us to sit here and have this kind of conversation with you, and you share so much with us. It's really fucking cool, actually.
I feel the same way
Absolutely.
about you guys. I guess I have to start listening to the Grateful Dead now.
There you go.
So yeah, it was
So
You can do
really
it in the privacy of your home, you'll
the
be
private.
fine.
I would A Touch of Grey. I mean, it's a good fucking song. I get it. Okay. Um,
and if you listen to the studio version, they don't jam. It's quick.
I think you know what? It might be my ADHD. It might be the problem with the jam
Mm,
band. Honestly, it's like,
yeah.
whoa, when are they
I'll
going to go to
send
the
you
next
some
one?
shows to start with.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
we'll send you some.
Some quick shows.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
No,
move
they won't be
quickly.
quick, they'll be good.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's what happened, and, I was like, "I gotta do it again," and I've been doing it for the last 7 months, and it's been amazing, and now I'm
That's so cool.
taking it on the road, which I kinda knew I'd had to see if it really had legs, you know, if I could really scale this thing up, I knew I'd have to leave LA. Because also, if you have it every month, I'm noticing a lot of people are like, "When's the next one?" I'm like, "Ah, this is the one
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need you to buy tickets for
Yeah.
right now."
Yeah, 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 yeah. So how do you do that on the road though? I mean, how do you vet people? Are you advertising like in Chicago? Did
Yes.
you
Yes.
Okay.
I'm basically figuring it out on the fly. Very Gen X, I guess. No,
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but the whole social media ad marketing thing, I mean, I'm trying. Nobody knows is what I'm learning,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I'll boost the ads, target people, and then I'll try and make clips go viral. Hasn't quite happened yet. And But I reached out to the clubs and again, just balls to the wall. I'm like, I can sell out your club. I really thought I could in Chicago. Because I'm from Chicago. I'm like, I got
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh no, this is harder. This is harder than I thought. But anyway, so from Chicago, so it was, I thought maybe a little easier to spread the word there. But I knew locking in press would be huge. So I got the Chicago Tribune to do a story, and that's coming out
Oh,
Sunday,
good.
which I wish was coming out before 3 days before the show, but it's
Yeah, yeah.
fine. It's going to be a nice
Yeah.
splashy piece, Sunday paper, online Monday. So that'll hopefully get us over the ticket hump a little bit. And then I find the men
Do you
on,
already
sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, do you already have your contestants?
Yes, yes. That's the very
Okay.
first thing I do. Like until I have
Okay.
them, I can't sleep at night because those are the
Yeah.
this for you guys is what I do with them. Like until I
Right.
have this, I don't have a show. Like I have to
Yeah,
find the
yeah.
Yeah.
comics, which is a little harder to do because that's not my community. But I asked all my friends here, I'm like, all right, who do you guys like in Chicago? You know, so I was able to find
Yeah.
comics, locked them in. Like, oh yeah, I don't think about that now. And then I find the men on Hinge, which is a very complicated transaction, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But I have my poster up there, and I always approach them first. I worked on a non-offensive, flattering opening intro with ChatGPT. I'm like, help me make these men feel okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know if it did, but anyway, most half of them are like, "This sounds like a hoot. I want to talk to you." Some of them are like, "What's the big idea? This is catfishing." I'm like, "It's not. Look up the definition of catfish. This is not catfishing.
Yeah, yeah,
That's me.
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
single. Shoot your shot. Come to the show. Like, you don't even live in Chicago." I'm like, you got me. I mean, there's no. Here's my Instagram. Here's a website. Oh,
Yeah.
are you just using this to find men? I'm like, Yes, I'm literally using this to find men." That again, you
I'm
figured it
embarrassed for
out.
that.
It's not catfishing, it's the
Yeah,
absolute, opposite of
yeah,
catfishing.
total transparency.
It's
Um,
remarkable.
They don't know what to do with that.
I know, I know, but I do want to say so many of them are cool about it, and I love when I meet those guys.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Were you gonna say something, Brian?
Yeah, it felt like you
No,
had.
no, I just
Oh, I thought
I
it's
mean, I get it. I'm from Gen X. I don't trust anything. So maybe that's what's in play here. But if you have a website, Instagram pages,
yeah,
whatever, it's
she's
like,
legit.
yeah,
Well, I'm also
She's
or
like,
legit.
very elaborate.
and I don't say I think you're hot. I want to do you. I don't start
Yeah,
like I'm literally like, would you like to be a bachelor on the dating show I'm bringing to Chicago? Like I'm very
Yeah,
clear
yeah.
about it. And the funniest
yeah.
thing that I'll see over and over again, it's funny to me, is when the next comment is, "So you don't want to date me?" Like it's always the next line. I'm like,
Oh my god.
it's literally That one is fine.
This is why we're still married. This is easier.
Yes, 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 definitely. And then yeah, so
Oh my
that's a
god.
funny one. This is one guy was like, "This is pathetic," as if I'd ever spend money to come to some show to meet someone. I'm like, "You're literally on a show called Hinge. What are you talking
Yes,
about?"
Yeah,
Like,
yes. Yeah,
but honestly, then the men that find it fun and funny, it's so cool. Like, it just makes me feel better about the human race.
yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah,
I get on the Zoom with them. I always got to get them on the Zoom. Then they're fine, you know?
yeah,
And then they're like, oh, okay. Every time they get on the Zoom with me, they're like, okay. I'm like, yeah, it's just, this is it. Just
yeah,
me. I'm one of
yeah,
you. I'm not here
yeah,
to
yeah,
embarrass you. If you are easy to embarrass, I don't even want you on stage. I don't want
yeah.
a
yeah,
roastable man. Please tell me now.
yeah.
Are you roastable? Because I don't want you up there. So yeah, also the men in Chicago are hot, by the way. Wow.
Well, it's probably nice to have a whole new
Yes.
demographic,
Yes.
there and kind of fresh and Midwest is totally different than LA.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're in Chicago on the
July 3rd.
2nd,
July, yeah.
July 3rd,
Yeah.
sorry, July 3rd?
Yep. And then
What's the venue?
it's Zanies, which I don't know if it's one of the big chains, so I was happy to get
Okay,
that.
that's awesome. I feel like
Yeah.
I've heard of Zanies. I've heard of
Yeah, they're
Zanies.
all over. So they have,
Yeah,
and there's one in Nashville. So Zanies, Rosemont. I was hoping for downtown. It's fine. Why am I saying that out loud? I'm shitting on my own show. No, I just want to make sure nobody's like, I don't want to drive all the way out to Rosemont. Um, so yeah, it's in Rosemont. What was I saying? Three women, three. The women were harder to find because I don't live in Chicago anymore. So in
mm,
LA, it's like, hey, who do I don't know. I just find them easier here. And then the men are harder to
yeah,
find here because I don't know why. Something's in the water in LA, but I find them, but it's a lot harder. Oh my
yeah.
God, the men in Chicago are fabulous. I had to
Are the
cut
women
men.
more suspicious
No, I
of
just don't even know how to get to them. I think the problem really was I just didn't have the press. Like
yeah,
I was really hoping this article would come out a week ago. It's like a bat signal, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So it's just
Do you have
grassroots.
the women
I
for
do.
Chicago?
I just locked the
Okay.
last one in yesterday. That's how
Wow.
nerve-wracking this was. And I was
Nice
like,
job.
and I didn't
That's
even know
awesome.
what she looked like and what she would sound like. I'm on the Zoom and she comes on and I'm like, okay, okay. And then she starts talking. I'm like, yes, yes, because I need to connect with them. We need to become friends. And then it's really nice on stage, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she
that
was
makes sense.
lovely. And I don't know, it's like you just know when you know. But I'm also sorry, I'm matching them up as I'm talking to them, and that's what some people don't understand. So I'm not like rejecting a person. I'm trying to put three and three people on stage that a couple different combinations could make sense, age-wise,
Yeah,
interest-wise. You know, it's like a dinner party
yeah.
I'm putting together. So
You're trying to create chemistry.
Have you
yeah.
had any, love connections that have lasted more than, say, that night?
Yes, more than that night, but nothing big, big time yet.
Yeah, that's why I prefaced it or included
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah,
No, but there definitely been, there was one show where there was a very popular sorry,
As
it's
your
my
cat.
okay, thank you.
yeah. He just he or she just dipped down the
Yeah,
Oh,
hallway
did you
there.
yeah,
just
no
see her?
problem.
That's or
Yeah, yeah.
hear it?
Yeah,
Yeah. I was like, "Is that a
yeah.
person?" Um,
No, it's your cat.
okay, good. So oh, yeah, so it was, so we do the show, there's a single mingle at the beginning, and when you walk in, I say, "Are you single?" And they get all freaked out. I'm like, "I'm single too, I just wanna put this lay on you," and then they're like, "Oh, I'm laid," so it's a funny joke, but it was just the
Yeah,
cheapest thing at Party City. That was it. Now I'm
Yeah,
stuck with this. That loosens everybody up, they have drinks, so the whole audience is supposed to be single. That's kind of what I that's the best show, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
then they sit down and then there's a single mingle afterwards. And then the people that come up on stage, I just bring them up from the audience and it's very exciting for the audience. Like, ooh, who's it going to be? You know, and you just
yeah,
lean forward and everyone loves getting to know them on stage. And so
yeah,
we interview them for 5 minutes. The comics hopefully don't get too, you know, I always say, these are normal people. Please be nice to
right,
them, you know, but they
right,
have to be
right.
funny too. So it's like a weird balance. And then we,
Don't make them look so bad that the other like, the girl doesn't want the
yes.
guy because you roasted the hell out of the guy.
Yes, and
Yeah,
honestly, it's usually not the comic's fault. Like, I think the men get most nervous, and then I have to step in and say, "I think what he meant to say about his ex-wife
yeah,
was," but anyway, then we pair them together. They have a 5-minute date on stage. I have a stack of cards, like a game night you'd have at home, and they get through as many of those
Yeah.
as possible in 5 minutes, bring them all up on stage, and then the audience votes for their favorite couple. And it's not like gym class when you weren't picked, like everyone's applauding for everyone. And then
Right, right, right.
one couple
It's
tends to
almost
get, yeah,
it's almost like you took your background in reality television
yes,
and put it into this show.
that's exactly what
There
I did. Yes,
there's a lot you combined your comedic talent with your reality television experience and created this show, it seems.
that is absolutely correct. Yes.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
can picture everything you just said, and there's so many things I'm like, I kept thinking, "This could be a reality show."
I can picture people laughing their asses off the whole time.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
It is like that. It's so
yeah,
cool because 'cause they're comedy
yeah,
sets throughout too. So I'm like, worst case scenario, because everyone, you wanna spend money on a night out, I wanna make sure it's good for you too.
yeah,
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 At least you've come home and you've seen comedy, but it's always more than
yeah.
that. It is always more than that. There's an authenticity and a vulnerability in that chair and the comics. I get chills talking about it because I didn't know if it were it's magic. It's just it's the special sauce, and everybody is
That's
laughing
yeah, that's
awesome.
so
cool.
hard. It's really
Yeah.
funny. I mean,
How long is the set, or how long are people there?
it is a long show and nobody has any sense of it. I cannot make the show shorter. It is quite frustrating to me as I watch the clock, but it's supposed to be an hour and a half show with a half hour pre and post mingle, but the show
Mm,
always ends up, well, you said people don't
Yeah.
realize the time go. It's the
yeah,
same thing. I don't
but
know
that
where
means
it's almost
it
2
it
hours. Yeah.
it's going well, though, because people don't realize.
Nobody is restless. They all get frustrated when the dates end. I'm like, "Nope, that's it. Your time's up. Sorry." And, like
Yeah.
you don't actually get to see them have a real date. But yeah, at the
Where
end
are
of
you going after Chicago? Because
oh,
you
then I'm
have
going
another
to
date.
Dallas,
Okay.
to Mike Drop Comedy, which is another comedy chain. Um, so I picked Chicago because I'm from Chicago, so that just seemed like a good like, I'm pilot testing this. I don't know if it's gonna work. I mean, I kinda think it
Mhm.
is because of the people I'm talking to already. They're like, "I love that you're doing that." Like, they love it. So it's just
Yeah,
about getting the word out, you know? But the people
yeah.
I talk to are like, "This is incredible. Thank you for doing this. Nothing like this exists out there." Those are the things you wanna hear, you know?
Yes, yes.
So Dallas, I was a little nervous going into Texas. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And I really need to connect with these people to be on stage. So I'm like,
Mhm,
what am I walking into? And I have to tell you, I have put no money into the Dallas show. I was told by a comic, this is why I picked Dallas, that Dallas is known as the big D for divorce. I had no idea. So
Hmm.
I'm like,
I
all
didn't know
right,
that.
I didn't either.
then here I go.
Yeah, right?
So I posted the ad, I boosted it, that's all I did, and all these women started applying on the website, and I was like, "What is happening?" And I have a question on there like, "What are your deal breakers? What are your political or religious leanings that are important to
Mhm.
you?" You know? And
Yeah.
they're all just like, "No MAGA, no MAGA." Every woman was
The
like,
women are saying that?
"Yes." I was
Oh, wow.
shocked.
Yeah,
And I got on the
yeah,
phone with all of them, I'm like, "What?" So I'm confused. When I think Texas, so they say they have a hard time finding men who aren't conservative, and that's what they're looking for. And
mhm.
I'm like, all right, well, I'm going in. And so I've been going into Hinge, and I've actually found lots of wonderful men so far. Apparently, Dallas itself is pretty blue and progressive or
I was just
whatever.
about to say
I was
that. I
gonna
think,
say the
yeah,
city, yeah, I think
Yeah,
the Dallas is the
there's
city.
enough transplants there to
Yeah,
have some diversity of thought.
that's what it is. It's so interesting. And there's so many
Yeah,
Chicagoans there.
yeah,
yeah,
So,
yep,
but they're all very anxious about sharing their political opinions with me, which I was on the phone with this one woman, and they're gorgeous. These women. I mean, I don't
yeah,
know what is happening there. It's like just cheekbones, and I don't. She said,
yeah,
"Yeah, it's really challenging here. It's a lot of competition. If you're not beautiful, you can buy it." I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's Dallas.
yeah.
yeah.
Gorgeous women. We're talking Southern Belle, and I said, "Well, what about is there anything you want to tell me, like political, whatever?" And I just kind of looked down. I don't want anyone to feel on the spot. They don't have to answer me. And she kind of looked
Yeah.
down and was like, "Well, I don't want you to hate me." I'm like, uh-oh, why would I? But I really can't. I can't be with those people with red hats. I'm like, oh, okay. But she was worried. So I think for
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
them living there, at least I am getting the impression that they don't
right.
feel comfortable sharing that opinion.
Yeah. It's probably the opposite of Like if somebody was in LA conservative,
Yes.
they're nervous to say that.
That's
So
exactly what it
again,
is. Yes.
or if you're in Portland conservative, you're nervous to say you're conservative. So
Yes.
now you're in Dallas and they're nervous to say that they're
That's right.
liberal. So it just depends on where you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. And I find it
Like it,
fascinating.
yeah,
This is amazing to me
yeah,
finding yeah.
No, it's amazing,
yeah,
yeah.
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 So I think it totally depends on
Yeah.
where you are on, the flip.
Yes.
And then there's places it's all mixed
What
up.
is what's the setup of the theater? Like, because we have a place here in Boca, it's called the Boca Black Box. I would check it out.
Oh, cool.
But I don't know if it's the right size, I would think, but I don't know if it's the right layout. They have seats
Well,
and
how
stuff.
many people how big is your audience usually?
Well, that's the scary part about Dallas and Chicago. I'm jumping from a 79 seat theater to a 250 seat theater.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
That is so cool.
Well,
That
I
is
mean,
so
it's only
cool.
cool if we have more than 30 people show up, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'm going with it, man. It's fine. We're
Yeah.
just
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I am trying
Yeah.
to be cool with the fact that, like, of course, Julie, you're gonna take it to a new town. This is about spreading the word. Like, this is why you're doing but it's hard because I'm such a perfectionist. I mean, I'm not a perfection you know what I mean? Is that like a
Yeah, yeah,
thing
yeah.
too? Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't wanna
yeah. But
fail.
with at least with Dallas, you have more time
Yes.
for public like,
Yeah.
you know, where Chicago, like how long have you had to you haven't don't have as much advertising, right? Sunday's gonna be the first time
Yeah. It's
on the
brutal. It's brutal. But it's already
so
moving. It's moving. It'll be fine. It'll be
There's a
fine.
lot of people there.
yeah.
If you're going to the Tribune, right, and 250
If
seats or 270?
that does that should do it because that's what did it for
Mhm.
um our first show here. There's something about somebody reading it in the I don't know. There's
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
And it's such a new concept that nobody's done,
yeah.
that I think if you saw that and read about it, you'd be like, "Oh my I'm gonna go check this out."
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
new, it's different, and people are always open to something new coming into their area because 'cause they're sick of all the same stuff.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if at least I think Chicago for will definitely you'll be good. I think Dallas, it's sounding just from what you're saying, you got all these women that were I think
Yeah.
Dallas, the word is gonna spread.
That's what it sounds like. Men and women are both
Yeah.
applying
Yeah.
and I thought the men were really going to get aggressive with me on the hinge but they have not. I've only gotten a
They were good.
couple. Well, I didn't see I'm like, okay, I just, do you want to talk to me or not? Like I don't it's cool.
Right.
It's cool, man. It's not for you. Like
Yeah.
let's move on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
And it's just one night, right?
just one
In each
night. Yes. And
so then how are you gonna continue on in different cities, different
not
towns?
I mean, yes, but not yet. I was like, let me just try these two. I foolishly decided to have one tomorrow here in LA because I got really cocky off the last show because Kathy Griffin
Okay.
was on it and it was sold out. And
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
I saw that. Yeah. Did
That's
yeah,
that go
cool.
well?
that was crazy. It was amazing. A friend of mine, a comic, was like, hey, a girlfriend of mine wants to be on your Big D show. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And she said, it's Kathy Griffin. I'm like, what? Yes, of course. It was so crazy. But she wanted to be a bachelorette. I'm like, that's
Oh
even
my gosh.
cooler. And so she was. And to answer your question, Brian, she really liked this guy. He likes her. They're gonna go out. I don't know what's gonna happen, but
Yeah, no,
I
that's cool.
That is so awesome.
yeah,
That
she
is so
was
aw was
amazing.
that the first time you'd met her?
Yeah. And I met her in the back, the green room, and I was worried. I was like, this isn't like a celebrity thing. What's it gonna be like? Is she gonna be cool? She was totally cool. She hung out in the green room and I went back. I could tell she got there late, so I went back there to say hi to her. And my friend said, "This is Julie. She created the show." And Kathy put her arm around me. We took a picture, and she's like, "You did? You are a badass. No women ever produced comedy back when I was coming up." And
Oh
Mhm.
I just thought if
my
my mom
god.
could hear that, that would have been like,
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, that was
Think about where you were
incredible.
2 years ago when you first started this
Yeah.
to Kathy Griffin putting
It
her
was
arm around you, telling you about I mean,
that
that
was an yeah,
Semi-surreal.
yeah, that was there's
that's
so few moments in life where you stop and go, oh,
yeah. That's one of them.
I was in the moment. I was like, "Oh my god." It was
And such a sign to keep going with this. That
yeah.
this is something, and to keep going with it. That's
Yes.
very cool,
Yeah, it was very
because
cool.
she's been in the game forever.
Oh, yeah. No,
So,
she loved it. She put nice things on her website about it. Like everyone that's done the show, every
That's cool.
comic is like, oh, this is different. Like the audience, why are they so happy? I'm like, because we're telling them stuff they want to hear. Like this, I know
Yeah,
exactly who this crowd is. You know, usually you have to
Yeah.
go in
yeah,
and you have to a little sleuthing work. You burn a lot of time at the top. Like, do they want to hear sex jokes? They want to hear mom jokes? What is this group? You know, I know
yeah,
exactly. I walk out and I'm like, are there any divorced people in the audience? They're
yeah,
like, what? You know, and they don't have to feel bad about themselves.
yeah. No, it's so
That's
true.
interesting, yeah.
Gosh, what now do you think most of your, demographic is Gen X?
That's the target, because I always say we're not the Golden Bachelor, we're not the Bachelorette, and,
Yeah,
I mean, as of now, the show is definitely an extension of me, like, I can who I connect with, so, yeah, like, 50 to 55 is kind of that sweet spot, but I've also had I say the age range is 40 to 60.
mhm,
I've had younger folks on there as well, because if they've been divorced, you know, but I make sure if I have
yeah,
somebody younger, then I have somebody younger. Like I try not to have
Yeah,
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 crazy
yeah.
ages all over the
yeah.
map because actually
It's
people don't want that. You will be happy to know when I ask men who they're, and I'm like, there's no judgment. I swear you can be honest with me. They don't want the young ones.
they want their age?
Their age or like around their age. I don't know that whole. I mean, I think there are like some gross guys out there that are like,
Yeah.
I want to
That's
be
our
with the
neighborhood.
What?
That's a South Florida thing, that's, the age disparity is pretty
Oh,
I don't know,
yeah,
is that an LA
down
thing too?
here,
We've
down here.
definitely got a sugar daddy what do they call the girls?
sugar daddy, sugar baby.
The sh the sugar yeah, yeah, we in South Florida, you see that a lot.
That's
The
huge
white
here. I'm
age.
not saying it's not
Yeah,
huge here,
Yeah.
but it's for this show.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
These are people you would know. You know what I mean? Like you would be
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
show.
yeah,
yeah.
So
yeah,
Yep.
I think much like me, all these people, if I think about it, are looking for somebody they could have been in college with. They're looking for
Yeah,
yeah,
something that
yeah,
feels like home, that feels familiar,
yeah.
yeah. That
and
makes sense.
yeah,
That it's just you really have created this space for Gen Xers that have had a divorce to come and really try to find somebody or at least be around people that can relate to them. They don't have to explain certain things
yes,
probably,
yes,
and, it resonates with them, and I'm sure as funny as it is, there's also that joy that, people are feeling off your audience. They can probably relax and just
It's an outlet.
be themselves. It's an outlet. It's an
Yeah,
outlet.
no,
That's
it is.
awesome.
that's
No,
cool.
yeah, nobody's walking out to them going, "How could you be single?" It's like that is the stupidest question on the planet. Like, and I can't
Yeah.
even. Everybody in that audience is basically choosing to be single at this point too. There's a very
Yeah.
Yeah,
interesting shift happening, dating with intention of what do I want? Because I don't really need anything now. Like these are very
Mhm.
the people that are drawn to the show are very content people who have typically done the work. They feel kind of whole. I don't know how many of them there'd be, but there's a lot of them. That's what
That's
I'm
like
trying to figure out, you know?
that's a gold mine. 'Cause there's so many people out there that are not like that. So that's a
Right.
gold mine right
Yeah.
there of
So the question is,
that's huge.
do I start digging into the other groups, you know, to keep the show going? I don't know. That's after I sell the
Well,
rights.
so
you
are mom jokes still being told? They
Or
don't
what?
seem to be told. I grew up on mom jokes, right?
mom
Those are
jokes.
generate mom jokes.
Oh no, there's
Are
a
they
lot.
still
There, yeah, we have
okay.
in fact, great question because it's Gen X mom jokes now. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
Mhm.
very edgy humor. It's all about I mean, my set has changed because I didn't like it. It was very much like kids today, you know. I'm like, I don't know. I don't, you know, part of that to me, it's more interesting. What have I done to contribute to this? So I used to have this joke about like, it wasn't a joke. My son threatened to run away when we were having a fight once. And at first I
Mhm.
was like terrified. And also I'm like, oh no, I'm my mother. I moved 3,000 miles away. Like it's happening again. You know, he hates me. I
mhm.
Yeah.
failed. And then I realized it's absolutely ludicrous. He's not going anywhere because he has no life skills. Um, and then I added, but then I added this line later, and now I like the joke. I didn't like it before. Now I
Mhm.
added a line where it's like, because we haven't given them any. Like, this
Yeah,
didn't
Yeah.
happen out of nowhere, you know?
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. You added the self-deprecating humor
yeah,
to it.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
No, it's and
notice,
so
you go, sorry.
so many Gen Xers can relate to that. In fact, I would think most Gen X parents can relate to that.
They all can. I see a lot of this in the audience when I do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And
Like,
that's
we all know we did it.
yes, exactly, exactly. And it's this is to me is the best if you could thread this needle out there because I've definitely played to conservative crowds and my very first time I bombed big time and it was horrible. It was in New Mexico at a casino. Everybody was married. It was total Trump country and I knew not to do my divorce material. Like I have my like I'm a divorced mom having sex or not having sex. Like I have all those jokes.
Right.
And then I have the kids today and me raising him. And it was my first 30-minute feature spot. And I was so nervous I wouldn't have enough material if I didn't do the divorce stuff. And I knew not to do it. I knew it, but I got up there. I'm like, anybody divorced in here? And it was like,
Was there anyone?
no, it was just dead silence.
Oh god.
And I feel like all they heard from that point forward was just horror, 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 horror,
Right.
like they were
Right.
not having it. And as soon as I started talking about mom stuff, they warmed up and they were laughing. So my point is, I do find that the mom stuff, I try not to like throw away my jokes. I try and find a way to tell them in a way that can appeal to anybody without sacrificing my point of view or my belief system. It's hard to
Mhm.
Yeah.
do, but it's really
Yeah,
Yeah.
satisfying when you
totally.
do.
Yeah, I'm sure. And that's another, moment of growth and
Huge.
uncomfortableness.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yes. Because
Yeah. And
I'm
when you
not
do it, you're probably like, "Yes."
oh, it's huge.
You're able to pull it off. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you think you'll come out to Florida ever?
I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah.
If you do, you have to let us know. We'd love to come see it.
Oh my
We'll be
god.
the married couple in
Or
town.
anywhere in the South because we go up we all over the South. We love to road trip.
I
So
love
we'll
it.
drive up to Georgia, the
Yeah.
Carolinas, Tennessee. Like Texas is too big. It's too big. It takes us 6 hours to get out of Florida heading to Texas, and then
Yeah.
you're like another so that one. But we'll drive pretty far. So well, I
No,
mean, obviously we're gonna keep an eye on
I
everything
try
that you're
not to
doing,
fly.
but he doesn't like to fly
I
anymore.
can't stand flying anymore.
well, now who
But
can blame you?
it's
It's crazy.
it's crazy,
Yeah.
but, so not even just Florida, but if you come anywhere else
Yeah.
in the South other than Texas, we wanna
Check out
come.
for real the Boca Black Box. It's a
No, I'm
really
going
cool
to, because
venue.
also there is some place in, there are a couple of clubs I was told, "Oh, you should really check it out there." I don't know if it was I can't remember the name. They're all these names. They're all the silliest names, like McCabe's Corn on the Comedy, or I don't know, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, um,
Boca Black Box is cool,
yeah,
and if you ever, are told anything around in South Florida, we can always you can reach out to us if you ever wanna know more about it, and we can look into it
We
too
have
for you.
divorced friends
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So
our age.
collaboration, as the kids
we
say.
do.
Yeah, we have
Oh,
divorced
we
friends
do
our
have
age.
divorced
That
friends.
reaction is exactly why I started the show. I always say, "You
Yeah,
marrieds never think about us, so we have to
Yeah,
think about
yeah.
ourselves." You're like, "Oh, I do have a bunch of divorced friends." We're
we
just
do.
I know.
We
They're
Yes.
so
do.
cute.
Yeah, they're so
Yeah, we
Uh,
cute. Yeah. They're crazy independent lifestyle.
those kids,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, we do, we totally
yeah.
do, so okay,
They would be pretty good.
they would be great.
They have personalities.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, and
yeah.
they're very pretty.
I no, I'm good.
Yeah,
This is how I'm picking where I take the show. I have to have a
yeah,
foothold in somewhere. So to know you guys
Mhm.
would be
yeah,
amazing. Like
anything we can do
done.
to help,
Yeah.
so and we know some men too, so but
You
okay,
said all the
so
magic words. You
alright,
know
yeah, we know
divorced
men, divorced
people.
men, divorced
She
women.
Yes.
doesn't want the husband and the
Oh, true.
previous wife.
Oh, no, but we know some that aren't
Yeah,
connected,
yeah.
so, yeah. No, well, if you
Gotta
ever
get up
wanna
on your
come to South
matchmaking
Florida, we
skills
can
here.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
for
I love
sure.
it. I love it. Consider it
I
as soon as I
I'm
get
just
through
so impressed
July.
with, what you've created in such a short amount of time. Like, tackling this new, adventure in your life with comedy and where you are now with it, creating something so unique and different, it's so impressive, so cool.
Thank you. I love it. I think if you do something, this sounds so cheesy, brr, but I think you guys can relate. If you love what you're doing, it just kind of
Yeah,
starts
Yeah,
growing like you guys.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and
People
again, I
smell
think
it.
I
yeah,
think
yes, because it's authentic.
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause it's authentic. You're not pretending, it's not fake, you're coming from a good place. That's also it too. It's
Yes.
coming from a good place.
Yes.
I
So,
just think it's really cool how you just took kind of a leap of faith and it worked and now it's resonating and it's building a life of its own. You don't have it figured out. You don't have a master plan. but it's coming together and it's resonating with people. I mean,
Yeah.
that it gives me kinda goosebumps to think that you're
Oh,
in the studio or the theater. I can picture people laughing their asses off, having a good time, and then you're almost like, "I can't believe this is happening." That's really cool.
it
Congratulations.
thank you. That is
That's
exactly the
awesome.
feeling. Like, it is
Yeah, that's
torture
awesome.
leading up to it, and then as soon as I take the
Yeah, yeah.
stage well, there's also something when I take the stage, like, "Well, it's gonna be what it's gonna be." Like, at that point, you just, but once it
Yeah,
It's a leap
starts,
of faith and
yes, it
yeah.
l
is.
see if it works.
Takes
Yes.
courage,
Yeah,
and it's very Gen X of you to just go for it, so
Right?
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So listen, the last question I always ask our guests is, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, first of all, I have to say, I'm embarrassed to say, I don't like that I'm gonna be older in 5 years. I don't know if you feel that way. Like, I like that I'm reinventing age, but I'm like, "Slow down. I like what I'm doing
Wish
I
you could go
know.
in
now."
reverse.
I
Yeah.
know, I know. It's going too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that being
Yeah.
said, where I wanna be, I want to just I wanna be a professional comic. I want this to be my livelihood. I want this show to be a success. I want me performing to be a success. I just wanna be able to do comedy. And I feel
Yeah.
like I don't even if this thing grows and keeps growing, I'm not even sure what it really will be. I feel like it's got weird potential. I know that sounds strange, but I don't even know what it's gonna look like, you know? I mean, it could be in other countries. It could
Yeah.
be a board game that you play at home.
Yeah.
It could be a reality TV show. I it's so funny, a friend of mine was like, "What can this should be a reality TV show." I'm like, "You go sell it. I am tired of reality TV." So, sure, if somebody comes and dumps the money truck, I am all for it. But yeah, I just want to see it keep growing and the community and people and I think that's been the coolest part about this is this developing community. Like I lost a
Mhm.
bachelorette yesterday for the show tomorrow. I could not sleep last night. That was not the testosterone. That was me going, "What have I done?"
Lay off the cream.
Yeah. And then I woke up in the morning and I remembered all these different like the people I've gotten to know through this show, it's crazy. I'm like, "Oh, I need to ask them. Maybe they know somebody. Maybe they," and it was just like it was like the Avengers came together because they all love
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
show so much. So
Yeah.
they're telling people, and then people trust
Yeah.
me.
It's
That's
almost like
awesome.
you're creating a Gen X cultural movement, honestly. Again, by creating this space. So it would be, and I think it will tumbleweed or snowball.
Yeah.
Because word of mouth, everyone talking, because it's unique, it's different. No one's ever seen it before. And I think our generation could use something like that. And we're always up for something new.
Yes.
So we're not scared of that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does expand
Yeah.
and evolve and change.
Well,
So
right back at you. We'll be writing our dreams together. So, but you guys have been
Lord
hugely
willing.
successful. You've got incredible numbers. How long have you had the podcast?
I think less than a year.
Oh, here you
So
are telling
Yeah.
me how look at you guys. That's incredible.
I think August, the end of August is
We
when
set
we,
up the studio around started setting it up in March,
and
and
then
then
our
put our first video out, I think, in
end of
August-ish.
August.
Yeah.
That'll be our first, our 1 year is at the end of August. So
That's
it's been
amazing.
awesome. We just, again, are so honored that people will share their life story with us. We cherish that. And what we've been able to experience through learning about people and what they've gone through, but then also our goal was honestly, if just one person feels seen and less alone by
Yeah.
something they hear from another person's life story,
Yes.
then that's the whole point. It's just, and especially, I mean, men too, definitely men, but especially women,
Yeah.
because there's so many women that go through so many things, especially around our age, and it's not talked about enough. But men too. I know some of our shorts sometimes get people mad. It sounds like I'm always ragging on the men, and I don't mean it that way, but it's a way we're trying to help people feel connected by
Yes.
sharing stories. And then sometimes Brian and I will talk about topics that we feel people, not just our age, but that people would like to hear the male and female conversation about. And neither one is bashing the other. We're just truly having a discussion about it, almost like if you were sitting here just listening to us talk about something.
I
So
love
that was
that.
kind of the concept.
It's beautiful, and it's why I responded to you. I was like, it was like strumming my pain with your fingers. It really was.
Mhm.
So I think we actually have the same goal,
Mhm.
uh, agenda, if
Hearing
you
you
will.
talk about
Yeah.
what you want, I'm thinking that's kinda what we want too.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I don't think you're trying to steer it in a specific direction, you're seeing where it goes
No.
with some semblance of a core value. And I
Yes.
think we've got this core value of just being authentic, really, right? And then we'll see where it goes. And that's
Exactly.
been the exciting part, and it kinda sounds like you're sort of doing the same thing.
Same. Because it's such a
Yeah,
I think at our age too, I don't know about you guys, but there is like a forced Buddhist detachment that we all start to accept. Like, I'm not
Mhm.
forcing anything into anything. I'm not forcing a guy
yeah,
to get on the phone with me. I'm not
yep,
forcing a reluctant person to be in the show. I'm not forcing a club. Oh, it's happening. Okay. I like this
Mhm.
thing
yeah,
and it's growing and it's opening up to me. And I try and just stay in that mentality. So
Yeah.
as much as I'm like, I wonder if I had started comedy 20 years ago. I wasn't even myself 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I
No,
have the
you have to
yeah,
be where you were for it to happen. You had to
yeah,
get to that place for it to happen the way it's happening.
yeah.
And the way I view it is if you're creating something and it's coming from a good, positive, genuine, authentic place, and you create whatever it is, the art that you're creating, and then you put it out there, it's no longer your responsibility anymore because it now belongs to whoever receives it. And
Yes.
however they receive it doesn't have anything to do with you anymore
Yeah.
because you know where the source is positive and good intention. And so it takes off the pressure because you're proud of what you're putting out there. It doesn't really matter. It's great if people receive it and it resonates, but the process was the satisfaction.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. I mean, the part nobody sees in the show is when I have my initial talk with people. And I always
yeah,
say, it's usually more with the men. I don't know why that is, but I think because I know that you guys are not taught to emote as much, right? You're
Yep.
shamed into suppressing your feelings. So I always take a moment and say, by the way, let me begin by saying I'm so sorry for your loss because it doesn't matter who left, it's a death. And I'm really sorry. And they always
Yeah.
stop and go, thank you. Because nobody wants to talk about divorce except divorced people.
Yeah.
It's depressing. I don't know. It's like, and yeah, I wish this had existed. Something like this had existed when I first got out. It's a very lonely process. So when I say somebody's eyes light up a little bit and I tell them it gets better and they say thank you, it's like it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I love that you do that with the men because you're so right. No, I mean, that's girls too, but the boys really did not get any attention when it came to emotional development.
No.
None.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then there are these men now, and they've gone through a lot of pain themselves. So, it's awesome that you recognize that.
We were guided to push it all in,
Yeah.
like she
Yeah.
was talking about, right? Suppress it.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
Homer
And
Simpson, shove it down.
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
shove it down.
yeah.
Well, listen, Julie, we can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your story and talking about the Big D dating show. I'm so excited to watch the progress of that. I
Thank
hope
you.
you do come to Florida so we can, even if you came to Tampa, we would drive to see you. We would
No.
drive in Florida to see you.
How
Yeah.
about this? I'm
Um,
coming to Florida. It's happening.
uh,
There. That's the Gen X way.
we
We're not
will be
gonna,
there and
yeah, we're
we will
making
help
this
you find
happen.
people. All
Yes.
right, that sounds good. But if anyone, for our listeners, if you're in Chicago, July 3rd, the Big D Dating Show will be there. We're gonna link Julie's socials and the Big D Dating Show information in the description of the podcast. But if they want to, like, let's say that as soon as they hear this, they want to. Where do they go to get tickets?
They can either go to my website, thebigddatingshow.com, but that will probably annoy them because that just takes you to Zany's Rosemont. So if they just go to Zany's Rosemont
Okay,
directly to
Okay.
the seller, they're selling the tickets themselves. So Zany's Rosemont is who's
Zany's
selling.
Rosemont in
Yeah,
Chicago, and
yeah.
then in Dallas, what's
Mike
the name
Drop.
of the?
It's called Mike Drop Comedy, and they have two. They have 2 clubs there. This one's in Plano, Texas, which I've been told is part of the Dallas, Fort Worth, Plano area. It's all kind
Oh,
of one
Yeah,
area.
it's
yeah,
urban sprawl.
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's crazy there.
So
Yeah.
Mic Drop Comedy in Plano, Texas, and go straight there or go to your website for that?
Yeah, mic drop. The website's good
Okay.
if they wanna know more about the show, see some videos on the show, kind of see how it works, but if you just wanna go straight to the tickets, go right to the club.
And when is Dallas?
When's
That's
Dallas?
July 17th, and I do not
Okay.
have that cast yet, although I do have lots of lovely women, and I do have 2 men. God, it's almost cast. But the casting goes on up until the show, because if I suddenly see an interesting match, so hit me up,
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah. If anyone's interested.
Yeah,
Yeah, July 17th,
yeah.
and, if any of our listeners have any comments, questions, especially about the Big D dating show, we will get the answers from Julie for you, or Julie herself will answer them for you, but please don't hesitate to leave any comments or any, questions or any experiences you have yourself if you wanna share about if you're divorced and you're in the dating world and you'd like to share those experiences, we would love to hear that too, so oh, wait, we have a bonus.
You've got time.
Okay, the bonus thing is I forgot I did this other thing. If you're starting your own business, and I don't know where you guys are with this, you gotta get sponsors.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have this incredible clothing rental company that just came on
Oh,
board to sponsor me. It's called
okay.
Armoire Style. It's a very hard word for me to say. It's like Rent the Runway. I don't know if you're familiar with that company, but these are
No,
these
but I
they're
know what you're the concept,
they're
yeah,
rental
yeah,
clothing companies, which is good for the
yes,
environment and on your pocketbook. So you pay a monthly subscription, or you can just be one and done, and you get like 6 different looks sent to you. So they're gonna start sending me looks, but more importantly, at the
Well,
shows, I'm giving away a free glow up unlimited membership to Armoire. If you use the big D, I can't remember what it is. Oh, I'm screwing this up. We'll put it in the post somewhere. But yeah, we're giving away 1 month unlimited memberships at the shows. It's going to be done through raffle. It's like a $250 value. And then
that's
also, if
awesome.
you just want to check out Armoire and sign up for it, you can get like up to a 50% discount and some other bonus items if you just put the Big D dating show.
Okay,
I
and
did
we'll
my
include that
first,
in the
yes.
description.
All right.
Yeah, so it's what's it called again? Armoire
Armoire style.
Armoire
Armoire style.
Style. Yeah, we have something like that in Florida, and I can't remember the name of it, but I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Armoire Style, and we will attach the information for I can never
It's a
say that.
very hard word to say.
Armoire. I know
Yeah.
it's No, that's awesome they're doing that though.
Yeah.
So and we'll
We'll
get the
get the promo
code.
code,
We'll
yeah.
get the promo code.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
anything else?
No,
Because
that's
we
it.
can edit.
Nope, that's it.
No, we
Yeah,
got it all?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, again, to any of our
So hang
listeners,
on 1 minute once
yeah,
we're
we'll
wrapped up here.
wrap it up. So, thank you again, Julie, for joining us. And again, any of our listeners want to leave any comments or questions, please do. We love to hear from you. And we will see you next time. Bye.